into the Vulcan soapbox. We got two of my comrades on the left. I got my guy Fresh, aka Quick Witted. Typically he lives up to typically he lives up to his name. 9 out of 10, he's usually fresh. So go ahead. What's the words you got for the people, my bro?
Man, they already know, man. It's freshly sniped. So I'm just here to get my shots up, man. We here to enlarge your toolbox. That's it. That's all. What you got?
Yes, yes, sir. Down below we got Vulcan,
How,
quarterback of this Vulcan squad, aka to lose patience, you lose the battle, man. What's some words you got for the people, man?
how's everybody doing today? I'm excited to get into the topic. We've been covering similar topics for a little bit. You know, we've jumped around covering different things, entrepreneurship. A lot of it's been Afrocentric, but that's not going to be what the show's always about. But we definitely want to tackle this stuff. We want to make sure people are getting a clear understanding of what's going on, the sophistry, the rhetoric, the sound reasoning. All those things need to be differentiated for all of us, and that's what we're here to do. So tune in, ask questions, leave comments. Please like and subscribe and follow. Send it to your friends, send it to your enemies. Let's get it.
Yes, man. We got some good stuff, man. Good topics today. The topic today is organized religions versus paganism. Oh, pantheism. Yeah, paganism, both of them synonymous. So look, so we're gonna get into it. We are covering Zoe Williams' show, and I don't think we have to say anything else. So just get right into it. And it's not working.
We ain't gotta say nothing else.
Shit,
You smell me?
all right. How's it coming in? Y'all can see that? All right, here we go. All right, let's get into it, y'all.
They had all these different celebrations. He didn't want to give that shit up. So he was to the nice council. He was like, look, all right, basically compile all the different doctrines that you have and figure out a way to put our pagan rituals into the doctrine with Christianity. So
Is this the beginning? Are we sure this is the beginning?
Yeah, that's the beginning.
Of this clip, not of that part.
Celebrations. He didn't want to give that shit up.
Yeah, it started in the middle of this conversation.
To the Nicene Council. He was like, look, all right, basically compile all the different doctrines that you have and figure out a way to put our pagan rituals into the doctrine with the Christianity so that we can still do what we need to do, but still take over Christianity at the same time.
So this was about using belief to govern people.
Yeah.
Let's pause it real quick.
That's all it was.
I think you've been possessed.
All the folks out there, what it do? Let's get it. So I want to start off focusing on what he just said. Constantine, Council of Nicaea. What happens with this part right here is that Constantine becomes the Roman ruler. It's disputed historically whether or not he was really a Christian or not, but one thing we can say for sure, he was definitely a Christian sympathizer. Now, we don't know if that was primarily because of the fact that he was Christian or because he just wanted to keep his empire united. You know, that's a big focus of all leaders and rulers. They want to keep it united. Matter of fact, one group of people thought it was so important to keep it united, they actually named an entire country the United States. So it's very important. Having said that, Constantine wants to keep the place united. There's a lot of different Christianity has been illegal the entire time that it's been going on. And Constantine was the one who finally made it legal for everybody to have their own religion and worship whatever God they want to worship at this time. So he's well known for doing that. Now, whenever he gets people involved with compiling all their different doctrines, it's because Christianity's been illegal. So anybody that had any kind of Christian literature, anybody that was known to be a Christian, they could be killed or worse. You know, their family, all that kind of stuff. So now that it's finally up 300 something years of being illegal and having to run and hide, and so everything's kind of scattered. There's no central organization. There's no monolithic authority yet. Now there's different doctrines out there. There's different philosophies, different beliefs, just like we have today. And so Constantine isn't really a part of the compiling of the doctrines or the putting doctrines together and figuring out what's what. he's more so overseeing it to make sure that it's done right so that he can have unity in his empire. So that's what they bring people over. The primary focus was Jesus God? Or was he not God? Was he the creator? Was he not the creator? So that was the primary question they were trying to focus on at this moment in time. And that's what the guys come together to focus on. So it wasn't compiling a bunch of different doctrines. They had literature, they had scriptures, but they never had been able to sit down and really focus on getting all their doctrines lined up and ironed out about what the text really says. And so that's what their focus was in this meeting.
Yeah. I also want to point out that in history, Constantine was, while they credit him with the massive spread of Christianity, I think if you dig a little bit more in, you'll see that he was more responsible for removing the persecution of Christians, and Christianity spread freely after that, as opposed to him pushing Christianity. He just uh, rescinded the laws that would persecute Christians for spreading their religion or the doctrine, as they already were. Christianity was already a thing; it was already spreading. In fact, I believe Constantine's mother was a Christian.
His
Uh,
I think it was like a concubine of his or something like that. But maybe
his,
his mother. I don't know about his mother, but I know for sure a concubine was.
well, his mother was definitely a Christian, uh, and probably a concubine, because it's not like he was
Yeah,
around at the beginning of it. My
yeah,
point
yeah.
is that people who are not going to do enough research, for the most part, are going to credit Constantine with the spread of Christianity from the Roman Empire. And while you can credit him with that, he didn't necessarily push it, right? Like
He wasn't
like
heralding it, and he's not like the guy you see downtown with his Bible preaching to everybody. That wasn't Constantine.
no, he just was like, listen, we're not gonna track down and kill these guys no more for what they believe in. Just let them be, and then Christianity would grow and flourish on its own after that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, just to add on to it, the first 300 years, the Christian church was underground, like Vulcan said earlier. So the gospel was spread. It revolutionized the West, and you could say the East too, even in Egypt. So the first 300 years, this is how, if you want to find out or want to make sure, how can you know what certain historical facts are actually factual? One of the ways you can tell if what's plausible is the disperse of the information, how fast it spread it. The first 300 years, it spread it like wildfire. So, with that being said, when that happens, you have multiple cultures obtaining these documents, so these transcripts, or these manuscripts, and there's different interpretations. The manual is the same, but the way different cultures interpret it is different. So that was the reason they called this the Iranian controversy. So that was the purpose of the Council of Nicaea, because some people didn't know if Jesus was God. Some thought this was he was didn't understand the Trinity, and some was think basically they had different interpretation how we should look at the gospel or how we should look at Christ. So that was the main purpose of this Council of Nicaea.
get back to the video.
Yeah. Laptop.
Well, before we get that, because he already said it, then you see Zoe mention it's about using belief to control. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
You know, my issue with people saying that kind of stuff is that it's not saying much. We all know that you
Nope.
use beliefs to control, and that's how you control everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it starts in the mind. So he's putting a sinister plot to it, a negative stigma on controlling with thought and beliefs. But that's how we keep our kids in line. That's how we keep students in line. That's how we pretty much every organization run by beliefs, good beliefs of loyalty and respect and honor. There's all kind of beliefs that we hold to, virtues that we do, and why we should hold to these values that are beliefs. And those are things that we use to keep people controlled, keep people uniform, keep people on the same page. Mission statements, if you have a company, vision statements, mission statements. These are all beliefs and stuff like that that we use to keep people on the same page, or as some would say, controlled.
There is no organization on the face of the planet, whether it be spiritual, religious, scientific, colloquial, regional, like none of them, they all have to have a common belief. What the problem that I have with this statement is that Zoe Williams would have you believe that he would demonize Christianity and other religions, other Abrahamic beliefs, by saying that they utilize belief to control and like to exert control over the masses. But like Vulcan was saying, what belief system, what organization is not built that way? So why demonize the one? And again, you're gonna hear me say this multiple times throughout. It's very clear that Jeff and Zoe Williams, I'm not sure the other gentleman's name, it's very clear they have a beef with Christianity as a whole, and maybe even all of the Abrahamic faiths. But someone clearly hurt them because you could talk about the Crips and the Bloods. It's a belief system, right? You could talk about any sort of rap group. You can talk about like any organization, any charitable organization. They believe in the same thing, and based on those beliefs, they have a different hierarchy and a set of standards and rules that they follow. That's just how things work.
Yeah, definitely repudiated Christianity. They're definitely a good example of that.
So while it's true, it's not true that it should be demonized, or it's not an evil thing. It just is the nature of how things work, how people organize.
Good stuff.
That's by some kind of demon, Kevin. I'm gonna spray some blood on you, hit you with a couple of
What speed are we on?
shots. See if that snaps you out of this curse you're in. Okay? Don't you know God is hope and Jesus is the way?
My bad.
So let me take it back. Let me take it back. Is Jesus the Son?
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, we say that shit like it's all cool and shit, but it ain't cool to a lot of people.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't understand it. Is Jesus the Son? And how is Jesus the Son?
Jesus is the Son of God the way Superman is the son of Jor-El.
Uh-oh.
How about that?
I'm confused.
Break it
Okay.
down.
I want people to leave here with some kind of...
Those of us who view the show know that we are in alignment with the zeitgeist version of Jesus, and that basically it is astrology and sun worship.
Astrotheology.
Yes, astrotheology is what encompasses the Bible, most of its teachings in there. If you are under that understanding, then you realize that just as the son of Jor-El was created, the hands of the son of Jor-El, the existence of DC Comics.
See, this shit happens on a humbug.
Is it breaking up for y'all too? Or is it just me?
And it come out.
Just come out, nigga. You tell me I'm wrong.
On a humbug.
Yeah, the video is already kind of choppy. We're just gonna work with it.
Chime in. Tell me fine. What I'm tired of. I'm tired of all these people in the chat room that agree with us. How come we can't have first?
Let's pause it. Let's pause it right there then. Real quickly, it's a little low on my end. I can still hear it, but it's a little low. I don't know if it's low for everybody. How's the volume coming out for y'all?
It's low on my side.
Okay.
Let me see if I can fix that.
Yeah. But going into what he's talking about, Jesus the Son. I mean, I don't want to get into it too much because he really hasn't said anything. They're just stating their beliefs, which you already kind of know what they believe going into it. The one thing I mentioned the Zeitgeist movie. I've seen the movie. I saw it like around the time it came out, I believe. It's one of those movies that they believe that there's some type of link with astrology in the Bible, the 12-12-12 stuff, and it being the signs of the zodiac. Anybody have any points that they want to make about that? One point that I wanted to make about that is the people that are credited with starting the zodiac signs was like the Babylonians. And so what's going to come into play now is a word called anachronistic, chronos. This means out of time. It'd be like somebody saying, like, James, you're the reason why there was, apartheid in South Africa, right? And then you'd be like, well, James wasn't even born yet. Well, in the same way, the history that's talking, the history of the Israelites was 1000 BC, and the Babylonians don't come about till after the fact. So there was no way for astrology to be a part of those origin stories and the 12 tribes and stuff like that, because that stuff, Babylon hadn't come around yet, where they're considered to be people that really started the zodiac. So that's part of the issue with the zeitgeist. It just doesn't fit the timeline. Another thing is that when you read the Bible, they are staunchly against, like they would stone you for it, for practicing
Star worship. Yeah.
stargazing. So
they turned it and coined it as witchcraft, if that's what you were caught doing.
Yeah, it was considered witchcraft. So we're talking, we can't hear you.
Yeah, you can see that clear examples in the Old Testament in Deuteronomy chapter 4, I believe 19, and Deuteronomy chapter 17, when it's clear that it's prohibited to worship the sun, the moon. They're very clear on not worshiping the stars and the sun and the moon.
So why would people have this symbolism that's baked into the text, that you'd have to have this esoteric knowledge to be able to mine and figure out and glean from, if it's expressly stated in the text? Don't associate with it, don't believe it, don't follow it, don't worship it, don't use it to predict your daily life and anything about what's going on in your life. They were forbidden from any kind of astrology type stuff. So the zeitgeist belief in that is just completely erroneous and anachronistic, because it doesn't fit the timeline as far as we know when astrology really, the people that founded astrology as we know it, at least. Folks out there, pay attention.
Furbo will show up one day.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let
He's
me
been busy.
air.
I didn't have a lot of battles with Furbo.
I'm gonna air some of
Fair
the show's
use.
dirty laundry. Okay. Probably I only have amazing. That's why Zoe's
Hold
my
on.
friend. What?
If any of the laundry is mine, nigga, don't say shit.
It's only yours,
Okay,
nigga.
then you're gonna have to talk about other people.
No, I'm talking about Zoe
I want
Williams
you to
right
talk-
now.
I want you to talk
Here's
about
what
Kevin.
Zoe Williams pisses me off.
Talk about Kevin.
No, I'm talking about this motherfucker right here. Okay, I'm okay.
Damn.
I'm okay with the shit. Okay, I'd say I got a first degree black belt. This motherfucker is Bruce Lee with the Bible shit. And I can't
I'm more
tell
like
you
Juice Lee,
how
nigga.
many bullies, how many Bible bullies that Zoe just give a pass to, that I can beat them up. I can beat them up. This nigga can reduce him to the fetal position.
And you know what?
And he
Let me just
won't.
say.
And
Let me just.
oh
Let me
my
just say
God.
this. Let me just say this.
You missed that period.
Let me just say
this.
this.
Oh, I missed that period.
Let me just say this, brother.
He must have slurred
Let
right
me just say. I got an email from a woman who told
Let
me
me pause
she's
it real
mad at me
quick.
too because of some shit you said.
Yes.
This is why we.
I'm gonna make this point short, just to say, like, it's funny how our community can be a lot of times when it comes to us being braggadocious. So on one end, he's saying that I'm okay with it, but he's nice with it. And what he said, choose to use for him being okay with it is a black belt. That's like the highest belt.
Well, there's the crazy black belts.
He said, I'm like a black belt with it. He's Bruce Lee. It's like find a way to be to compliment yourself without looking like you're complimenting yourself. And when you hear what these guys are saying, neither one of them got a black belt, and they're definitely not Bruce Lee.
That like he's definitely not. He's nowhere near Bruce Lee. We've consistently poked holes in all of his arguments.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wish we could get him live so we could just ask him these questions and see him answer it.
Yeah, if anybody knows him or as follows his show, send this video, one of the videos we've done on him, to him so that maybe we can get a little dialogue going on.
We
But
just
like
got
y'all,
some questions, man.
yeah, have y'all seen that black guy who does those videos where he shows people how to defend themselves, and it's like a parody because it's always like bad advice?
Oh, Detroit something.
Yeah, that's who this guy is. He's not Bruce Lee at all. He's that guy. Oh, remember Martin? The martial arts guy from Martin?
Silence. Silence. You sick.
Asking you to shut the fuck up and leave my dirty shit. I get a long ass email from this woman talking about you better let the beast out. People need to see the beast. I want you to chop people down. This is some Jeff shit. Jeff done fired this lady up, and he got her wanting me to bang on people. Let me just say, man, I stopped banging on people.
That was like 10 years ago. 15
Because
years ago.
I realized
No, it wasn't 10 years. I've seen the sort of like one time this motherfucker broke down the Garden of Eden, and I was sitting there, mouth fucking agape. I couldn't even. I was like This is making too much sense too fast while I'm not high. Shut up.
But let me just say, man, I stopped doing that shit because I saw it as detrimental. Not everybody, listen, not everybody is ready for that shit. You could fuck somebody up. It's almost like
milk the baby.
It's almost like taking white supremacy and the system and feminism away from black women right now. If you take it away from them, what the fuck they got?
Okay, back up.
Or if you take black away from them.
I'm not saying ride around like in the Blues Brothers movie where
So pause that right there.
Put some speakers on the top. It was like, come down to the bridge.
Folks out there, I do tend to agree with him about that. I thought that was a really good analogy that he used when he talks about, taking people's religion from them is tantamount to taking white supremacy and feminism from black women. A lot of us don't have that foundation anymore of what femininity is, and even what masculinity is at time. So he would have pulled those ideas from them, those social movements from them. What would they really be able to settle on at that point? I do think that's a really good point. We should have that as a show at some point in time as well. We can really dive into that pretty deep.
Blues Brothers show. I'm not telling you to seek them out. I'm talking about the motherfuckers that show ready to do battle and they don't know. Okay, it's one thing to be inexperienced. It's another thing to be inexperienced and show up at the Coliseum calling gladiators out.
Jeff, listen. Every now and again,
yes,
sir. A disrespectful motherfucker could catch it.
Disrespectful
Catch a beat down.
But for the most part, I only want to talk to people who are willing to learn more.
There you go.
Okay.
Right? I only want to talk to people who are willing to learn more.
I understand.
Listen, they stole all your motherfucking cultures and labeled them pagan.
Right.
While using them. Right? While using them. This is my thing.
Well,
take HPV, Helena Petrova Blavatsky.
I thought you meant human papilloma.
Pause it.
No, she's the founder.
So again, he's saying they stole your culture, right? We've covered this before, but what does he really mean by they stole your culture? Like, so let's just for the moment, everybody that's listening in the audience, think about it for yourself. Culture, how you were cultivated, how you grew up, the values you had, the cuisine. Just like take it back to school when you were in class and taught you about what cultures. When archaeologists are digging and they're looking at ancient societies and they're talking about the culture they had, they're gonna look at their tools, their artifacts, their weapons, their religion, their food, all those different things, right? Their family structure. That's a culture. So when they say they stole your culture, right? I have a culture that hasn't been stolen from me at all. So one I've had since I've been alive. And this is my issue with this kind of shifty language, this misleading language. It's not that somebody stole my culture. What he says is that at some point in time in history, my ancestors had a culture and then other people came and it stopped. It could be due to war, slavery, whatever's going on. And now that culture stopped and they maybe had to assimilate to the culture of whoever was in power, right? But that's something that's happened globally at all times in China, in India, everywhere you can imagine on Earth, in Africa. There's wars in Africa. There's wars over here in the Americas with the Native Americans. They typically, what they say is that the more aggressive Native American tribes were towards more the center areas where there's a little bit more resource plentiful, while the more passive Native Americans were more on the outskirts of the country. And so there was battles between them. So my point is saying that when they're making it seem like somebody stole our culture, they never stole your particular culture. It's talking about your ancestors. And when you get a chance, look at the map of Africa. How massive is Africa? Do you think all those folks over there had the same culture?
No, absolutely not. They don't have the same culture now. They don't share the same.
Now?
They don't have the same culture now. Ain't nobody over there stealing nothing. It's just they believe in different gods, different deities, different philosophies. Some of them are more advanced.
For sure.
I guess to give a better example for those, because sometimes people might be a little confused, like majority of the black people, or majority of the people that's in Africa might have the same pigment. Just look, but it's a continent. So look at Asia, that's a continent. Look at China and Russia, India and Iraq. All those countries are inside one continent, but they all got different cultures. So would it
Yeah,
make sense to say that they got one culture?
and
Right.
then y'all got to ask yourself what you really want. You know, you hear guys like Dr. Umar Johnson, who's a Pan Africanist, who says things like they want a united Africa, right? Now, the thing that part of the difficulty of uniting things is people have different beliefs,
Hmm.
specifically religious beliefs,
I
right?
was just about to say, yeah.
And so I'm not advocating for carnage and pillaging and conquering, right? You know, and historically it was called the conquest ethic. Might makes right, and they take over, right? But the thing is that the way we're able to all be on the same page in these United States is because
We believe the same thing.
we all pretty much believe the same thing. We're all Judeo-Christians to some extent or another. One might be Muslim, Jew, Christian, some type of offshoot of one of those things. But we all have a very similar values, which is a precursor to the American values that we hold to. And that's why it all works. You have a certain value of life, all these things that go along to make us Americans, right? And so my point is saying this right here, there is some upside to getting rid of all the different beliefs that were there before. I'm not saying doing it by killing. I'm not saying that part. And it wasn't always done historically that way. There were debates about what the right way to do. People sent missionaries without the sword to try to convert people, and so there was all these attempts being made to get people to be on the same page and get into a religion that was a little bit more unifying, a little bit more doctrinally robust. More of a written constitution as opposed to one that's not written. So I just want the audience to think about that, because when you hear people say things that this guy is saying that they stole your culture, there was a bunch of different cultures, hundreds of different cultures, not thousands of different cultures, bunch of different languages and all this kind of stuff over there in Africa. And when people got brought over here, a lot of that stuff was stomped out by the bigger religion. But that happens everywhere. I'm sure if you go back further enough in your history, your great grandparent may have had one particular set of culture, and then maybe 3 or 4 generations before that, there was a war that took place, and they assimilated to whoever took over them. It may not be documented for us to be able to see. So there's no divine culture sent down from the heavens that we're all supposed to subscribe to, that some type of sinister being came and took over, and now we're all having this demonic culture here. Now, obviously, I'm a big critic of American culture, American subcultures, and things of that as well. But my primary point is just a culture is just how you're cultivated, and they all have strengths and weaknesses. So when he's saying they stole your culture, and one thing I was sharing this, and I'm gonna be short so we can get back to the video. I was sharing this before. A lot of us see the world and see history through a very Judeo-Christian lens. There were cultures where if the husband died, they would get rid of the wife, delete the wife, so that she can finish her reincarnation process. There were cultures that would bury their elderly people, so they weren't technically deleting them, but because they couldn't contribute to society anymore. There were certain cultures that were sacrificing 2,000 people a year, hearts on a temple, that don't do that because the Roman Catholic people came over there with Bibles and also with a sword at times, and they end up taking over their land. Again, it is what it is. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. My point is just saying that, it wasn't like the people were over here, all singing Kumbaya and having a great time. These cultures were practicing all kind of deviant, dubious types of behavior. And when the dominant culture, religion, government came over, they stomped a lot of that stuff out. You can disagree with what they're doing, but it wasn't like everybody was just living their life in nirvana and having a great time, and then somebody came over there and shoved a new culture down the throat.
That is the best point that you could have made, Vulcan. Is when you're arguing philosophies and religions, you have to look at this, especially like when people like Zoe Williams are decrying Christianity as a religion and pushing a religion of self or whatever your other religion is. Show me where in the world, and this is just me being honest. Show me where in the world one religion is doing better than the other, purely based off of your belief system. Right now, you can have people from each culture argue, but objectively, show me where someone who believes in themselves as God and believes God is within themselves and they have all the answers. Show me where they're doing better in life in any form or fashion based on their belief system than any Christian or Muslim or any other religion. So to demonize any religion for its belief system is set up is weird to me when you're pushing another belief system.
Okay, but can you use a different word than weird? Because I mean, my understanding of weird just means statistically unlikely,
No,
or strange, or queer. You know, what is? You have anything else other than weird?
it's nonsensical.
Okay.
But for the people out there, it's weird. They'll understand that.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask that question because weird. I just want to make sure that it's a descriptive word that really, because I know people you fall on weird when they don't know why they don't like something, that they don't like it, and they just call it weird. But then we don't know you not like it because of something inside of you or because of it itself.
No,
now, I'm not asking you that question. I'm just saying that happens a lot of times. So I was like, I'm glad you're able to clarify that.
I say it lacks institution. One thing about organized religion is well established. They have well established hierarchies and institutions. So if you say you don't believe in something, that's your premise. This is what Zoe's saying. That's the premise, right? And hold on, I finished that. Let me get back to the video.
Wait, what?
I'll finish that a little later. I want to get back to the video.
I'm gonna hold that thought because I want you to go back to it.
All right, because he's gonna bring it up and give me
until you hold that thought. I'm gonna throw your brains in your hands until you hold that thought. Easy, man.
Are you still quoting Murder Mook in this day and age of battle rap? Come on, man. I don't even think that's a Mook line.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
I did too for a second.
Let's get distraction.
We're going.
It's like really funny, but it's off topic. Here we go. Okay, all right. All right, and we're back. Vatsky.
Okay.
She comes from some, some kind of well-to-do Russian family or some shit.
Okay.
And decides to be on, when she becomes an adult, decides to be on some old, I'm going to go to the ancient East and recontextualize the shit that already exists. First off, who gave you the authority?
How about that?
Oh, well, the ascended masters, Kuthumi, Lord Moria, and Saint Germain are my guides. Prove it. She opened up the ancient East, Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism. She opened up the ancient East systems and was the conduit to bring it to the West. Well, you know what? Just like in the book of Luke, chapter 1, verse 1, Luke says in the book of Luke, chapter 1, verse 1, since I am endowed with perfect knowledge of all things from the beginning, and other niggas were writing books, I saw fit that I too should write a book on these accounts. Nigga, you weren't there.
Right.
Luke, you weren't there.
Hey, pause it real quick. I just want to add context to that statement. It's not going to be a long statement at all. He's trying to characterize what Luke did as Luke was writing an account of events that he was there for, when in reality all Luke was doing was substantiating and confirming, as well as organizing the accounts of others so it could be better understood and flow. It's like a textbook, basically. If you're looking at it, it's essentially a textbook. Like, hey, we got all these different stories and so it's a compilation. He just puts it in chronological order and says, I pulled this story from over here. Boom, that would happen first. This would happen second, third, fourth, and fifth. He never said he was there for any of them. So again, while Zoe Williams will characterize it as,
is it okay if I read it freshly?
Yeah, read it out. Read it now, but read like the first 5
verses.
Yeah, I'll read like the first 5 verses, but an audience, I want you to hear this. All the folks out there who don't just go with what you heard, but actually look into it and research it yourself. I want you to hear this because he makes it
seem the English Standard Version? What are you reading from?
NIV?
New American Standard Version.
New American Standard? The Nas version?
Which one do y'all prefer? I'll pick that one.
I'm just joking. It doesn't matter. As long as you can, as long as it can be easily interpreted, it's fine.
You say NIV?
Huh?
I think NIV is the most widespread, but I don't know that it.
That's gonna be next. That's gonna be. We got to have a pod on which version.
Nah, just read what you got. Like they would say in the old apostolic church, read.
Read. Okay, so I want everybody to hear this when it comes. Oh, you want to put it up there? Okay.
There we go.
Pardon me.
Hey, put some Pentecostal on it too. Don't play us.
Yeah. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor.
Neighbor.
So everybody, listen to this right here, because the way he made it seem was that Luke just said, you know what, everybody else writing the book. I done heard some rumors. Let me go ahead and just make up some stuff and put it in there so I can get my own book out there.
I would get my book out there.
Yeah, that is not what happened. Luke, the physician, this is a very intelligent person who was very, very meticulous in his process, and you'll be able to tell when you listen to what he's writing here. He goes, many have undertaken to draw up an account of the things that have been fulfilled among us, just as they were handed down to us by those who from the first were eyewitnesses and servants of the word. Now, eyewitnesses, y'all, anybody who's been around lawyers or been around judges, there's a process of this eyewitness testimony. It's still a very important thing in our society today.
Yep. Anybody that wrote a book about the findings or about the discoveries of anybody that's not alive yet, that's not alive anymore. Any current author, throw all their stuff out if you would criticize what Luke did. Anyone that writes anything on whatever Freud did, or anything that any of the old school philosophers did, all of it, because it's none of them were there. It's all a recounting.
Yeah, I guess let me go and finish reading this real quick. So with this in mind, so keep this in your mind, he's telling you, since I myself have carefully investigated everything from the beginning. Listen to that, y'all. With this in mind, since I have carefully investigated everything from the beginning, I too decided to write an orderly account for you, most excellent Theophilus, so that you may know the certainty of the things you have been taught. So you've already been taught certain things, but I've been meticulously going through things. That's not somebody just whimsically throwing something together because they want to keep a fable going.
Yeah, keep in mind he wrote this for somebody. This is for a person or a singular entity. It's not like, hey, I want to indoctrinate all the believers out there. I want them to believe. It's like, hey, let me put this stuff in order for you. Let me organize it for you so you can like anybody else who wants to study or gain greater knowledge. When I want to go and find a textbook that has organized knowledge that I may already have and some inkling of.
Yeah, man. One thing I want to say, because we can go back to the video now, but the guy brings up, he was earlier, he said, I'm tired of people who agree with us. We have people that disagree with us. Y'all, this is part of the purpose of the show. A lot of these guys, they don't all the way mean bad or mean wrong. They don't have anybody that can peer review what the conclusions they're coming to.
No, they don't. I used to agree with you. They don't be looking. He has a large platform. You don't think he could find nobody who doesn't agree with him and bring them on? He could do that easily. It ain't like nobody's like, I don't want to deal with that Zoe Williams guy. There's plenty. We're regular dudes.
Just want to read the comments. Help the Bear says Zoe is live right now. I'm gonna tell him
You can
that
have
y'all
somebody
want
on that has dissenting viewpoints. They're
Tell
easy
his
to
friends
find out
about
there. Go on the internet, type in somebody. It's easy. I don't believe that they are innocently doing this.
Shout out to Help the Bear. He said he sent Zoe. He's live
I'm
right
sorry.
now.
It's not instant to me.
Can y'all hear me? Hello?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So he said, Help the Bear
Vulcan
says
out
he's
here
live
trying
right.
to talk about diplomacy. I don't do diplomacy.
Oh man, that was a good quote right
Are
there.
you gonna finish reading it?
If you gonna let me, yeah. Yeah, he said he sent the live invite. So go ahead. Shout out to Zoe. Come on, man. It's better to debate these things, man. Live. All right.
It's better to debate these things without settling it than to settle these things without debating it, said the French moralist.
Bars.
get perfect knowledge from all things from the beginning. Oh, well, it was a revelation of God. Wait a minute. Let me tell you.
Nigga, I know everything about New York hip hop. Motherfucker, you live in New Orleans.
Okay, let me get it back. Let me get it back.
Now pause that right there. Again, this is the purpose of the show, y'all. This is the Vulcan soapbox. The Vulcans were very logical people. So when he says, I don't think about New York hip hop, you live in New Orleans, or whatever he said. Live in Louisiana, I don't know what he said. But my point is saying, y'all, that is the genetic fallacy. The genetic fallacy. He's disqualifying somebody's belief or claim, not because what they said didn't make sense, didn't add up, was incorrect, but because of where they are. They could have moved over there. They could have been given testimony from somebody, a family member, through a telephone. How often does that happen in your life? You learned about something from watching the news. You weren't there. So you mean to tell me if somebody asked me, what's the weather? I'm hanging out with somebody and we're inside and we're not in a place where there's a window. And what's the weather like? I look at my phone and it says the weather is slightly cloudy. And I tell them it's cloudy. How you know you weren't there?
Yeah.
You have to disqualify.
He's doing the same thing Luke is doing. Like Luke said, he carefully analyzed these things. Remember, Bible, Latin is it means book, but look at it deeper. It's not just a book; it's a library.
Collection of books, right?
It's a collection of books. So the difference is the same what Zoe's doing. Zoe is researching a collection of books of his research, and Christians are looking at a collection of books in the Bible. The same thing.
What he's describing is what any historian in the history of the world has done. They've collected data and evidence and stories and eyewitness accounts, secondary, third person accounts, and put them together in chronological order. Like, hey, this is what happened based on what research that I've done. And if he would actually read the book, he would know that Luke never said he was there for any of this. I can see if Luke was like, hey, this is my version of what happened, and he stuck himself into certain stories, but all he's doing is giving you other stories that already happened.
Yeah, just to finish what I was saying earlier, when he mentioned Hinduism, Buddhism, that's why I said those.
Buddhism.
You say
Buddhism.
You say Buddhism?
You said Buddhism. That sounds like the religion for me, baby.
That's paganism for real.
Yeah, definitely. Those are like Vulcan said, that's paganism. So this is what I was saying earlier. Go ahead. I'm just going to say this part.
I was saying, you down there in Georgia, man, Buddhism might actually be a religion.
Could be. Yeah, so if you compare those religions to organized religions, it's a difference because over here in the West, these religions are well-established hierarchies. This is why I was saying earlier, hierarchies and institutions. Paganism may lack authority and structure. So that's the difference. And this could make it more, challenging to establish a consistent governance. So that's all I wanted to mention,
Well, even. Oh yeah, go ahead. Let's get back to the video.
It'll probably come up again.
Yeah,
it's gonna come up.
Okay, we're gonna get it back. I'm trying.
And look what he's establishing now. If you notice in the video, and this is gonna continue. Every time Jeff says a joke, hierarchy kicks in. He stops Jeff and points them in the direction they need to go. So he's operating the same thing that he's against on his show. Every time Jeff says something that's going off the alignment where the direction the show want to go, Zoe has to redirect it.
Because there's Jeff. Okay, we're gonna get it back. I'm trying to tell you right now, truth doesn't need a lawyer.
Wow.
Truth does not need a proxy, somebody to speak for it.
Okay. Pause it real quick.
Yeah, I was about to say, what are you doing right now, Zoe? What you doing right now?
Okay, what Fresh you just said was better than what I was getting ready to say. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and cook on that because your example is way better than mine.
Oh, I don't have an example. I'm just saying what he's doing right now.
He's advocating for
what he exactly. And
I was gonna say he just completely destroyed our modern day judicial system because both sides get a lawyer. The one who's right, the one who's wrong, the one with the truth, or the one with the lie.
Right, but in that particular
So that happened to me.
concept, truth is subjective to perspective and who who the victor is. But what his point is, is that if it's the truth, it doesn't need anybody to prove it.
Yeah,
And
so what I'm
really
saying
what
is
he's
somebody
doing right
accused
now is
me.
trying to prove his version of the truth.
Yeah, so somebody accused me of something. Y'all like, hey James, what you gonna do, man? You got this locked in. You need us to find you a lawyer. And be like, nah, I know I'm right. I know what I'm saying is the truth. So truth doesn't need a defense. What y'all gonna tell me?
I'm gonna be like, you stupid. You sound where you going to jail?
I'm like,
I'm gonna say that. I would say that you're more. You're Moorish.
yeah, of course. Sovereign citizen. I don't, they can't convict me.
So again,
I ain't afraid of jail.
whenever you see like an
Throw away the key.
Abrahamic belief
Wait,
system, right?
lock me up.
Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, or
Yes, sir.
Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Yes, sir.
You get translations, right? You get authorities to speak for. Well, this didn't mean that. This meant this, and then
You get a bunch of what had happened was.
and then you get what Muslims call it innovation. Don't innovate on the scriptures.
Right.
Christians call it,
Pause it real quick.
exegesis.
This is gonna be our audience. Bear with us through this right here because this next 5-minute segment is compacted with so many different points. It's gonna be kind of choppy when we stopping it right here. But this made a point about these authorities. Again, he's putting a very negative stigma culturally because as Americans we tend to be anti-authority. It's kind of in our blood since our conception. But is it really an authority? Isn't the pastor only the authority for those who are in his church? If you saw that same pastor, on the side of the road, would he be any kind of authority to you? Let's keep it real. Like he's making it seem like these authorities telling you this and telling you that. No, it's just somebody who has done some research, some thoughts, no different than a teacher, a professor, any type of a person, whoever is directing traffic. It's just them giving you their perspective based off the information that they've learned. So it's not like now again, if you're talking about Roman Catholicism, you're talking about certain cult organizations, and yeah, there's some papal infallibility with the Roman Catholics. There's a little bit of authorities where they believe that the Seventh-day Adventists of Ellen G. White, where they believe that she speaks, doctrine when she speaks, or the Pope when he speaks his doctrine. Now, some of those things there is somewhat of an authority there in those particular groups, but definitely not in Protestantism. In Protestantism, the general belief is the Bible is the authority.
The word.
And we are correct so far as we interpret it correctly.
Yep.
So that's what I have to say about the point he just made as far as authorities telling us this or telling us that. It's a bit of an exaggeration, a little hyperbole, excuse me.
Right? I don't really know what this meant, but I'm tell you what it means, and because as a man of God, so they have apologetics and they have hermeneutics and they have what's the other word? Exegesis. They get to add shit that they don't know is actually there. All I'm saying is truth doesn't need that.
But that's why they're able to do that. Actually, truth is perception. See,
pause it real quick because they're hitting so many different concepts. They're hitting so many concepts. So the word he was looking for wasn't exegesis, but eisegesis. And the thing is, like, hermeneutics is just the way we interpret. We learn how to interpret the literature. You can do hermeneutics on anything. It's just how we interpret things. Everything, every type of written language, every literature has a way you're supposed to read it, right? Some languages you read right to left. Some languages you read left to right. It's just the way it goes. And what happens is what they're making seem like some kind of sinister plot, again, is just the way things go if you want to interpret things correctly. That's all it is. Anybody got anything on that?
No, you pretty well defined it. I mean, he's using big words to confuse people. What I would prefer he do if he was going to go through this stuff and talk about it to start defining some of these words and giving context on what he means. But I'm gonna be honest with you.
I can define it real quick too.
Yeah, that's fine. What I'm saying, I would prefer that Zoe Williams would do it because it would, if he were to do that stuff like you just did, it would unravel a lot of his point. It would
so,
a lot of the highfalutenness of it. Yes.
Yeah. So anybody, if anybody that wants to learn how to interpret something, you can type in hermeneutics in your phone. They can give you the process. Just like the scientific method has a process, everything has a process. There's a process to interpreting things. And when you read it, it's going to be basic common sense stuff you learned in school. It's just been organized and put together into a formula to make it easier for you. Exegesis, X means something coming out. It's just the pulling the meaning out of the text. That's exegesis, what he was talking about. But what he was trying to refer to is what's called eisegesis.
Yeah.
It's when you don't pull the meaning out of the text, you take a meaning you already have in your head and you put it in the text. So that's eisegesis. So you don't want to do that. And I would agree with him, even though he didn't use the right terminology. He's right in the fact you don't want to do that. You want to take the meaning from the text, not you want to take the meaning from the text, not put it in there. So on that part, he's right if he gets the terminology a little bit better. We got some comments.
Help the bear ain't no practice. You mean exegesis? Hilarious. Yeah. So when they say truth is perception, the other brother that's on the show, I said, man, when I heard him say that, I said that's the birth of chaos. Just imagine for those that's listening, if you have to get some things done at a hospital, you got to get some work done on yourself. You want to speak with your doctor about some things, and he tells you that 2 + 2 is 5. That's his perception of truth. Would you look at the doctor as being credible?
Absolutely not.
Words have meanings. Shout out to Fresh.
Yeah.
That's done. Truth, it uses belief.
But there, all I'm saying is truth doesn't need that.
But that's why they're able to do that. Actually, truth is perception. See, need that.
Fair use.
That's the thing that's done. Truth, it uses belief.
But I think that's, to me, I think that's semantics.
But it's not semantics. If one person's truth is not going to, may not be the same as someone else's. That's why truths will differ between people. So you'll have a different perception on shit based on how you come up, how you've seen information. All these different things play a part in how you will see something. So that's why people's truths. But all the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the truth is part.
What would be deemed as pagan spirit practices feeding to them. So each one of the three religions. So like Christianity.
I'm just noticing inconsistency of what they're saying. I just can't see how that can work in the courtroom. The judge got a different perception of truth versus your truth. How do you get things done that way?
Well, let's define these things really quick. So the reality is right here. Truth and perception are not synonyms, y'all. They're not synonyms. Perception is how somebody perceives something. Perception can be colored by many things. If I have on sunglasses that have a certain tint, my perception of the outside world is going to have tint. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I know all the folks out there get this already. But the thing is, the truth of the matter is that the outside world is not as dark as I'm perceiving it. So the truth, what's typically called the correspondence theory of truth, which is that truth is that which corresponds to reality. That's what truth is. Truth is what reality actually is. I can be wrong. I can be in error. I can say something, oh, this is what happened. And that's why people like, James, that's not actually what happened. Hey, Michael Jordan beat this team at this year. Somebody goes, actually, he didn't even play that year. He was retired. I'm mistaken. That wasn't my truth. I was incorrect.
How you interpret it. So good example.
No, I didn't interpret anything. I was just incorrect. I wasn't like I was perceiving something and I interpreted it incorrectly. You know what I'm saying? A misinterpretation will be I'm looking at something and I'm getting it wrong, right? Mm-hmm. No, my memory just was flawed at that moment, right? Mm-hmm. I thought I remembered this and it didn't actually happen. That happens at times. And so that is my perception, but it's not accurate to the truth. It doesn't correspond to reality, and that's what truth is. Perception is how you perceive something, which can be truthful at times, obviously, but it can be riddled with different biases and other things that can affect how accurate that perception is to reality itself. So when these guys are using these terms, they're equivocating. They're using different words to mean the same thing, and it is somewhat of a semantic game, as Zoe said, but just not for the same reason why he means it. So all the folks out there, when you listen to people communicate, make sure you're taking note of the words they're using. Is this word actually what the word means? You can't be lazy. Pull your dictionary out. Look up the word truth. There's truth, and look at the different synonyms. Is perspective a synonym of truth? Is truth a synonym for perspective? Absolutely not. Nobody says the perspective shall set you free. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
You never heard tell two perspectives and one lie? You never heard that before. Because they're not the same thing. These guys are using them synonymously, and then I don't know if they've gotten into it yet, so I'm gonna be quiet so we can get back to the video because I'll talk about it when they get to it.
We had Gnosticism, Islam had, but all the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the truth is perfect.
What would be deemed as pagan spirit practices feeding to them. So each one of the three religions. So like Christianity had Gnosticism, Islam had Sufism, and Judaism had the Kabbalah.
But see, this is why
or the Talmud had these different things feeding into those.
But this is why I go back. This is why I say, okay, truth might be perception in English, but every time you read in the Bible, verily, verily, I say unto you, he's saying el haq, the truth is the truth, which is fact beyond any doubt. El haq, the truth is the truth. It was synonymous with fact. Now in English, the truth is perception. Just like English takes the word meditate and turns the word meditate into measurement as a means to own, become the authority of. From the Western, do you see what I'm saying? So Kevin is right from an English speaking perspective. Yes, truth is subjective, but that's the Western thought that we are conditioned by. This is why I said
it's even
stop
any
it,
way
stop
around
it,
is going
stop
to be
it.
subjective. I mean,
So, I know, remember we've had these conversations in the past, and I've had these conversations with people in the past.
You lagging, Vulcan, you lagging.
Compare the Western way of thinking versus the Eastern way of thinking. Lacking? He was called lacking.
Hold on.
Who am I right now?
You was lagging just now. Just repeat what you just said, Vulcan.
He was called lacking. Who am I right now?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I just said.
No, before
not that one. Oh, okay.
No, before all that.
I thought that was funny. I was impersonating Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Ew, never again.
So yeah, what did we just talk about? What was it saying again? I forgot what I said. I forgot what I said. Nobody remember what I said? Nobody heard what I said, huh?
Yeah. Nobody heard what you said.
Yeah, nobody heard. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember.
We'll get back to it.
I want to know what he's referencing when he says the English language takes meditate and turns it into. What reference?
Yeah,
what is he referencing?
Again, conversation people in the past where they compare Western versus Eastern thinking, but traditionally it's kind of positioned the opposite way. It's like Western thinking is a lot more critical and logical and linear and written down, and scientific and falsifiable and things of that nature, scalable. And that's why the Western world developed in the way that it did with all the technology. And the Eastern is more, in tune with nature, intuition, chakras, these metaphysical things that can't be quantified or scalable, right? So, yeah, but they've kind of flipped it around in this, haven't they? They're saying now that the European version of truth is perception, which is odd. And so I've never heard that. That's why I wish they would have elaborated more on this, because it really goes against everything I've ever been taught, or everything I've ever been everything I've ever discussed with people about this that tend to take a more Eastern approach. One of their biggest criticisms of the Western world is it's very veridical, very linear, very structured.
Which is it makes sense why it would be linear. Because he mentioned on the last show that a lot of those Eastern practices is more of a circular spiritual practice, right? Which doesn't make sense. Let's just for a moment, let's just say that's true, right? I'm gonna wait because he's gonna bring that up. I got so much to say. I'm gonna wait for that. Okay. That. You got anything?
It's fair use.
I mean, how you see something may not be how I see it, no matter what time we're living in.
No. I'm talking about how the Easterner saw, and you'll follow this. The Easterner saw this place we live in as illusion.
Yes.
This ain't real.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
The Westerner turns the illusion into the reality.
Right.
So, from the Westerner's perspective, this is the truth. From my perspective, from the Easterner's perspective, this shit ain't real.
This shit is, yeah.
This is not
What
real.
it is just is, right.
So this is why I go back to the scripture. You go back to the original language, the Aramaic. Jesus says, "Verily, verily," it comes into verily, which is verily, of course, is your Latin veritas, the truth or fact. You see what I'm saying? The fact of what it is. That's because them motherfuckers, if they were real at all, them motherfuckers were on a higher level of consciousness. I was talking about the that we don't experience here. We label it as spiritual.
Right.
Go ahead, Ken.
Okay.
I mean, Jeff.
Okay, and y'all two help me out. I'm serious. I'm not
We don't
bullshitting.
want
no
to help
joke.
you.
Okay, well then both of you find something sharp.
We'll pause it real quick.
Here.
Zoe makes a really good point, and this is something that's very important. Those of you historians out there, those of you who appreciate science as an institution as we have it in the Western world, Zoe does bring up a really good point. That's one of the things that philosophers of history bring up all the time. When you're trying to figure out, if you're trying to figure out why is a civilization the way it is, let's say, and we do this all the time with all kinds of different stuff. There's a documentary out with KD because they're trying to figure out why so many different amazing basketball players are coming out of a certain area, right? So if you see something happening in one part of the country, you have all these NBA players, NFL players popping up. You're going to try to figure out, what's going on over there where all these people are popping up with this amazing athletic ability, right? And this super just drive to be great. That's how it always is. Sociologists, philosophers, they want to know they want to figure these things out. Psychologists want to figure these things out. Part of that process when they're trying to figure these things out is they're going to look at all the different variables. One of the things about the Eastern belief system, like you said, is that they do have a belief, a lot of it, that this is all illusion. This is all not real. Science can't be conceived in that type of incubator. Do you see that? Because science presumes the natural world is a real thing. Not only is it real, but it's something that can be studied and tested. We call this a law of uniformity when you assume that the future will be like the past. It's one of the fundamental belief systems of the scientific method that makes it all work. So if I do science over here where I am, Enos does science where he is, Freshie does science where he is, you both have to do science where you are. We can all relatively do the same experiment, get relatively the same result if whatever we're looking to test is true, if it's accurate. And so this was what Zoe was saying. So there is something to the fact that the Western world has developed a lot of technology, and now it's changing. You see that the technology is being developed other places because they've all assumed a lot of the Western ways of thinking when it comes to technology and things of that nature. But historically, the Native Americans and other places like that took a more pantheistic, nature is divine. That's not a good bedrock for science to develop, because you're not going to want to poke at things and put things in tubes and stuff like that if you consider it to be divine. And if it's divine, that means it can change. 1 minute gravity can go up, next minute gravity can go down. But the Western world says no, gravity goes this direction, and they can measure gravity. It's scalable. It's predictable. Again, the future will be the past. And so the Eastern perspectives doesn't always have that kind of a thing because it is random. It is an illusion. Anything could happen. Anybody have any comments, questions? Make sure you put that in the group. We love to take comments and questions. If you have any disagreements, definitely put that stuff out there. We love to discuss it.
Like and subscribe to the channel as well.
This is what I'm saying. I have learned to measure certain words by their antonyms. So I measure the word truth by the word lie. Okay? When my grandmother told me that this plate that she made for me that had ham hocks on it and macaroni and cheese and cornbread, that this was good for me. She was not lying from her measure of intelligence and truth, because she sat down to the same meal with me. A lie would be if she knew that this was bad and only made it for me.
Right.
So when my grandmother told me that God is hope and Jesus is the way, and you're going to go to, oh my God, you're going to go to hell if you do not believe in Jesus, was not lying to me because that was her version of the truth.
Right.
And if with
Illusion.
illusion
To you.
to you, yeah. So
Belai.
what in that context am I?
English. If you go to what the truth is, the underlining fabric of reality.
Okay.
For instance, your boy Anken Atten, right?
Mm-hmm.
This motherfucker, people got him twisted. They say he's the first monotheistic, right? The first person to worship one God. They thought
we
he
pause
was
it real quick?
worshiping the sun, but he was actually worshiping the energy of.
I just wanted to clear up what the intellectual irritant in the green jacket is saying. For the most part, I do agree with his point. Basically, you know, the way we define what a lie is when you intentionally deceive somebody. He was saying his mom or his grandmother wasn't intentionally deceiving him. I would agree that somebody could be mistaken without being a liar. And that's what his point was. But the thing is that we got to realize that she was saying her version of the truth. But there's no versions of the truth. The truth is the truth. We can speak erroneously about a particular aspect of reality, and that's a lie, or that's a falsehood. It could
It's
be
inaccurate.
81 depending upon
It's
it's
just inaccurate.
inaccurate.
Current
erroneous.
society would have you preserve people's feelings and emotions and say, you know, that was their version of the truth, as opposed to just saying what it was, is that they were wrong.
They're wrong. You know, and I also want to say this part. I always forget to mention this when we discuss this particular topic, but we live in an age of pluralism and relativism. And just to quickly give everybody the kind of a rough definition of that is pluralism is kind of like all roads lead the realm, all things are, you know, always are right, everything's pretty much the same, and there's 1,000 different ways to get the truth. And then relativism is to believe everything's relative. And in some ways, there's things in life that are definitely relative, but it's also can be a very dangerous view because a lot of moral propositions that we all hold to, like grape, like trafficking, like homicide, those things, some people put in the relative category too, like it's wrong to you, but it's not wrong to me. There's movements right now for there's movements to get all kind of different behaviors acceptable today. I forgot what they call the movement right now so people that are old adults can like people that are not classified as adults. I forgot what that attraction is called nowadays, but there's political movements to make that okay. And so if you're going to be a relativist, you understand, you're saying that, you know, there is no good, there is no bad, it's all the same. It's all relative. And that's somewhat what these guys are attempting to say. That there's just versions of the truth. There's all kind of different truths out there. Your truth may not know. And that's what this show's about, logic. The law of, the three fundamental laws of logic, the law of identity. A is A. A is not B. So that is not relative. So is this a chair or is it a car? It's not both. It's not relative. This is actually a thing. Now we can dispute on the name. The name, we can name whatever we want to name. But what
I
No, but
perceive it as a chair.
if I want to sit in this chair and perceive it as a car, then it is a car to the people that support my functional belief system.
Hey, Fresh,
Yeah.
that's your version of truth, though. So I
It's my
respect
version of the truth. All right. Listen,
Yeah.
we're not gonna get into the politics of the transgender movement, but so I can ruffle a few feathers right now. This is what Vulcan is describing. This is one of the things that it applies to almost verbatim. Read.
So yeah, everybody take that in consideration when it comes to this relativistic movement. And so going back to the what I was talking about as far as them pushing this, there's different versions of truth. You got to keep in mind that also it's in the law. There's a law of identity. there's the law of non-contradiction. A cannot both be A and not A at the same time in the same way. That being the case, that's in direct contradiction of different versions of truth. So when we're covering logic, everybody, if you want to be a logical person, you can't be a relativist because the laws of logic itself are relativistic. So if you want to be a reasonable person, a rational person, you can't accept that there's different perspectives on truth. Because the law of non-contradiction says A cannot both be A and not A at the same time in the same way. It's saying there's a distinction here. The last law is the law of excluded middle. Law of excluded middle is a proposition is either true or it's not true. There's no gray area. It's excluded of the middle. There's no middle. It's either this or it's that. Did you go to the store? You either went to the store or you didn't. Relativism says your version of truth is, well, his version of truth is I didn't go to the store. My version of truth is I did go to the store.
So in other
That's
words,
what these guys are saying.
So in other words, Vulcan is saying, so fellas, if your significant other is out and you ask her where she at work and she says she's somewhere else, are you gonna agree with her and say, okay, that's your version of truth? I'm gonna accept that.
Yeah.
If you was what you say you was at or you wasn't.
Or you go to your job and pick up your check. And like we send it to you. You look at your account like, I don't see it. But that's your version of truth. We support it.
Come on.
You're gonna be like, no, y'all didn't send me the money, send me my money. So again, we can't pick and choose, y'all, when we want to be relativistic and think there's different versions of the truth. We say, no, the truth, there's actual truth, there's actual reality, and I'm saying what corresponds to it. And what you're saying is erroneous, it's false, it's wrong. It could be a lie, depending upon their intentions. So keep this in mind, y'all. Don't pick and choose when you want to be relativistic.
Because we it's a high standard. Like I said earlier, when we're in the court system, we expect, and this is what these words come from, justice. That we follow in the court system that comes out of the Bible. The Bible produced words that set a standard for sacred. What's considered sacred. So anything what sacred means perfection or perfect. So anything opposite of that is wrong. That's the difference between the Western cultures and the Eastern culture. They set a standard of perfection through the words we use from day to day.
Of the sun. That's why when you see those fucking the hieroglyphs, he'll show the Latin hands at the end of the rays. He was actually worshiping the energy of the sun. They say he's the first monotheistic, right? The first person to worship one.
Hold on, pause it real quick. We should read these comments from Ain't No Practice Bit real quick. You mean Exit Jesus? That was earlier. You'd probably be a great battle rapper, Vulcan. I mean, he was all right. I seen him cook 3 dudes inside of a game room one time. I object, Your Honor. Ain't no practice, but can you confirm what you object to so we may be able to go back and address it? Help the bear.
I think that's probably when I was saying if anybody disagrees, put in the comments. I think that's when he put that.
Okay. Help the bear said Vulcan is drinking Michael Secret stuff tonight. If you're a cornball and you don't know what Michael Secret stuff is, go ahead and watch the original. The original. I'm blanking.
Space Jam.
Space Jam, not the one with LeBron, the one with Mike where he was actually drinking secret stuff at halftime. That's how he got him hyped. Anyways, y'all going off the deep end with them pronouns. Don't do it. We're not scared, man. Hey, we're not afraid. That's what the point of this is.
Worshiping the sun. But he was actually worshiping the energy of the sun. That's why when you see those fucking the hieroglyphs, he'll show the Latin hands at the end of the rays. The sun rays turn into hands. It was the energy, the immanence of the energy. Again, they were talking about a different reality. In this matrix, the truth is what you perceive.
Right.
But the mystic was saying that shit ain't real. Y'all don't even know what the fuck truth is.
Yeah, the physical plane is not real.
So when you take the words of Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or any of these mystics, whatever they considered to be the truth was in alignment with reality and not the manifestation of this reality.
Right.
They knew the difference.
If them niggas was real.
If
Them niggas ain't real.
but listen, they don't have to be real for me. You niggas want to see the sword? Here it is. They don't have to be real for me, because I understand that metaphors are used to convey high-level truths. Okay, let me just write in a story for niggas, because this is how they wrote your spiritual books.
Yeah, that's what the Bible. Yeah, the Bible.
You're dumb. I need an allegory.
Yep.
I need a story.
Right.
I can't.
Let me see how I can get this on your level. Let me see how.
Right.
Okay, shit. I can't just tell you that it's important to plan wise and build well, because that's not going to work. That's not going to hit you. So let me tell you this story about the 3 little pigs.
Right.
Yep.
Do you motherfuckers think some pigs really live, Mason? Do you really believe that? Because that's not what I'm getting at.
But that story is Masonic, though.
Is the quality of your thought, right?
Yeah.
The quality of your thought will manifest in the quality of your construction.
That's it. That's it.
Pause it real
That's
quick.
the Masonic
Say
saying.
that one more time.
So yeah, I do want to agree with them that we do use he says metaphors. I mean, it's a kind of a loose way of saying it. We use stories to communicate high level truths. The 3 little pigs. There's all Jack and Jill went up the hill. There's all kind of different things we learn that communicate high level truths. Jordan Peterson does a really good job of breaking this stuff down as well, about the importance of the historical stories that we hear from ancient civilizations, that these truths help those people to survive and thrive so we can be here today. So I do agree with that part right there. I just want to say that, again, everything he says, that I don't disagree with everything he says. He makes some pretty decent points. But when he talks about the truth thing, about them saying, this is the truth, this is not the truth, you gotta make up your mind. You can't say truth is relative, or that's your version, that's my version, and then say that's not the truth. This was the truth. They thought that this wasn't the truth, because now you're making a distinction between what's true and what's not, which is how we all do it, which is right to do that. But then you have to drop the relativism. You can no longer say that we all is your version and my version, his version of truth. The reality is that not everything we believe is true. We believe things that are wrong at times. That's being human. Back to the vid.
The Masonic
Say
breakdown.
that again.
You got a motherfucker with a thought process that's equivalent to straw. Whatever you
Yep.
build ain't gonna stand.
Ain't gonna
Oh
stand.
my
Yep.
God.
You got another motherfucker with a thought process that's equivalent to sticks.
The sticks. Yes.
Shit ain't gonna. You're building.
You're building.
Right. Oh yeah.
You've been called a pagan for shit the first humans created. That was your religion. You got niggas who are afraid of African belief systems.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Africans were niggas like, what the fuck?
It's that
You
voodoo.
don't pick
That
your
voodoo.
bottom lip and
Oh my Lord.
I will not believe.
That's true. Like the words, I'll give you guys this one, zombie.
Give me that.
The word zombie, it actually comes from
Pause it real quick.
from that, like Haitian voodoo.
I want the audience to understand what paganism means. A lot of times we hear terms thrown about and we never really learn what they mean. We know they mean something bad or good, depending upon how the people are using it contextually, but we don't always know what these words mean. Paganism means that it's the worship of nature. It's paganism, pagan religions. So when you look at religions outside of the Abrahamic religions, they all tend to center around very important things to help human beings survive, like the harvest, the sun, the moon, the ocean, the trees, all the things that we need to sustain
Energy.
ourselves. Sorry, go ahead.
That's what Zoe said, the energy of the sun.
Yeah, energy, all of that stuff. That's all things within time, space, and matter. We exist in this world. Time, space, and matter. Time meaning that everything tends toward decay. We're affected by time. Space meaning we occupy space. We take up space. And matter means we're made of stuff. We're made of things we see on the table of elements, right? We learned that in science school, in class. So the thing is that's what it means. We're all within that world. And so when he's talking about paganism, it's when you worship that stuff. Any aspect of anything within time, space, and matter, if you're worshiping it, it's considered paganism. When you see, that's why you see in the Bible when Paul is going to a certain place, he teaches Areopagus. He's telling people over there, these philosophers, he's telling them like, look, there's a God you don't know about. This is a God not made with man's hands. When you see the Bible, it keeps saying that, you know, God is not a man that you should treat him like a man that he should lie. We shouldn't look at God, you know, as an animal or whatever it is. They may use metaphors to describe God in that way. We through anthropomorphism and things of that nature. Theopomorphism. I guess. But the thing is that, or using personifying things. But so those are different ways that we may use to help us understand God better. But the reality is that God is not within time, space, and matter. So that's why we worship God, because everything that exists, everything that's natural, scientifically, we would believe it came from the Big Bang. It all has matter, it all has space, it all has time. God exists outside of that. So if you see, so it doesn't matter with the Native Americans, the Africans, the Chinese, anybody that's worshiping a created thing is considered pagan. Vid.
And it's a serpent god. So it actually represented someone who was of high intelligence. Remember, the serpent represents enlightenment. So he was a serpent god. So he represented enlightenment. But they've turned that into the Walking Dead motherfucker. So that was us. This is what we used to use. The zombie was the high enlightened motherfucker, the dragon, really. And they flipped that into you're a Walking Dead motherfucker.
The dragon is the devil.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In the Bible,
right.
The dragon is the devil.
Right.
It's the devil, Bobby.
Now, now
Everybody with any power other than Jehovah for knowledge is evil. Wow. Lucifer, the bearer of light, he's evil because he's looking for knowledge.
But again, Madam Blavatsky of the Theosophical Society, I'm going to take all the religions that already exist, and I'm going to steal their symbols. I'm going to use their symbols, and I'm going to create the Theosophy Society. The Theosophical Society. Theosophy.
Pause that right there.
Greek word.
So the thing is that within Eastern Orthodox, there's a little bit of it. Definitely within Roman Catholicism, it was a borrowing of religions around it, pagan rituals around it. That's not within Protestantism. So when they're talking about people pulling from different spiritualities and pagan things, you got to understand why they did that. I don't agree with it. And the Bible expressly forbids doing this, y'all. So this is not.
It says worship the creator, not the creations.
Yeah, worship not the creations. And so he makes the point about certain people, certain groups pulling from the spiritualities around it, the rituals around it, and incorporating it into itself. That is a reality that happened historically, especially again, the Roman Catholic Church is a good example of a lot of that stuff. I was watching the Coco, with my kids, and you see on there, it's a kind of a Catholic theme to some extent, but it incorporates a lot of the spiritualities that were already existing, a lot of the religious traditions that were already there before they got there, and they kind of melded together. And so the Bible expressly forbids doing that kind of stuff. That's the most important point. But you got to understand why people do that. Anybody's read, the Human Nature, the 48 Laws of Power. There's a principle whenever you want people to believe in something or to let something go, to accept something new, you make the new seem kind of like the old. That might be like Law 45 or Law 44 for the Laws of Power, if I remember correctly. It's one of those laws. And the thing is, you make the new. If you ever manage something and you want people to jump on board what you got going on, one of the things you might do is say, hey, look, this isn't any different than what y'all were doing before. It's just a little tweak. People are more likely to go on board with it, even though it may be, in fact, completely different. And so that's what's going on in a lot of those situations. Just keep that in mind when I listen to him talk about it. It wasn't always some type of sinister plot against Black people specifically. It's a common practice that everybody does in government, the military, and education everywhere, is that whenever you want people to move in a different direction, you make the new directions look like the old direction to some extent. People feel more comfortable with it. Big.
God, Sophie. Use their symbols, and I'm going to create the Theosophy Society. The Theosophical Society. Theosophy. Theos, Greek word God. Sophie, the wisdom of God.
with
got
me.
it?
Right.
It's with me.
Okay.
But they took the
She wrote a book called Lucifer.
right
Scared the shit out of
Of the blind.
feminine aspect, the divine feminine power out of it. And so that leaves you imbalanced.
Right.
And you're just basically
Wow.
worshiping just half of the energy.
Wow.
Which is where the paganism comes from, because they were balancing it out. Remember, Wicca, male witch or wizard. So he's working on the feminine aspect, nature, through the masculine inside.
Right.
That was the balance there, but they took that shit out.
culminates today. It's the reason why a bad bitch needs bone straight hair.
Okay, you got to.
Again, if I can tell you who the fuck your God is, I can damn sure, and I can change who the image of your God is. I know I can get you to follow it if I'm in power. This is no different than the episode of Good Times.
Oh, the
When Florida
Jesus
Evan-
Had the white put the black Jesus.
Nigga,
up.
you better, this is the Jesus I know.
right.
And it again, if you can't find
And it got an applause break back in the day.
right, if you can't find the image of yourself in your God, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
By pagan beliefs. I'm watching. You see white people getting away with the wildest shit in the world because they dominate the perspective.
Right.
And this, like Kevin said, the perspective becomes your truth. I can't do this shit. This is the white man's world.
You talking?
How many times have you heard that coming up as in our generation?
Come on, man. You talking about
This is
the
the white
father?
man's world.
You talking about the father-child relationship right now? I should probably say this for the rest.
This is the white man's world. Nigga.
Okay.
You don't get nigga. Fuck some shit up. You
Right.
close it. You gonna fuck it up right now.
What you trying to tell me, Deodis?
Listen, now. Listen, boy. Listen, boy. Everybody in your family, out of everybody in your family, you done got the furthest, and you ain't done shit yet. And you telling me you gonna fuck it up right now?
Hi, we're back. We're back. We're back with conversations between Theodis and Lee Arthur.
Theodis.
What do you mean I'm gonna fuck up with Theodis?
Listen now. I'm gonna tell you right now. You go in that motherfucking job interview, you put your head down. Don't you look at that man in his eye.
Don't look at me now.
Don't you look him in the eye.
I'm
Nigga,
alone.
listen, you look a man
Hey,
in the eye.
pause it
you
real
gonna
quick.
let that man know.
I'm gonna say this one statement, and I'm gonna let you comment, or we can get back to the video. I don't understand why he feels like he can use one belief system to refute another belief system while criticizing belief systems as a whole.
That's an excellent point.
Like
Definitely.
he's refuting certain Christian or Abrahamic faith beliefs with beliefs with another belief system, while saying that belief systems as a whole are bad because they control certain narratives and they come with the hierarchy. Like he's saying the serpent represents enlightenment in some cultures, and the serpent represents a dragon or evil in another culture. When you're talking about the truth, he can't really offer a truth in that space. And this is the foundation that he's building on, because it comes from a culture. It's a belief system. So it's how people interpret things based on their belief system, their hierarchy, whoever their leader, if you will. This is just logic. It's not addressing any particular religion, but this is saying your religion or your organization says this is what we do, this is what we believe. If you subscribe to that particular religion or belief system, then you rock with that. I don't understand how he feels that he can refute one with the other while condemning the entire concept of belief systems.
Yeah, so that would be right there is two terms come to mind. One is a law of one is a law of contradiction, law of non-contradiction. He's contradicting himself. One, he says beliefs are bad. We saw another video. Believe, BELIE, is giving the lie away.
Be like,
So he says that
he
on
did
one end
say,
that belief. Yeah,
he did say that. That's a
giving
close
the lie away.
reference.
Yeah, belief is giving the lie away. On the other end, he's supplanting one belief with another. So that's the law of contradiction. Another term that comes to mind is the taxi cab fallacy. Beliefs are bad until we get to the stop of his beliefs, and it's okay. This belief is okay. Beliefs are all bad, except for my beliefs. They're good. So that's what the audience, tax cap fallacy, the law of non-contradiction. Law of non-contradiction, one of the fundamental laws of logic. Vid.
That you ain't scared of. You let me know you ain't scared of. You ain't gonna get that job.
So I got to be.
You don't get that job.
Look here, I got to be
You
scared.
don't get the fuck out my house. You don't get the.
Pack your shit.
All of a sudden, it is very important that I don't look this man in the face. Because I got a 48 Chrysler, but that don't mean I want to live in it.
But do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, I do.
It builds up. We're gonna take your spirituality and say it's evil. Now you're reliant on us for your definition of spirituality, and that definition doesn't look like you.
And that's where the lack of history comes in, though, the lack of information, because you wouldn't be tripping off that because you created all that damn hair.
Pause.
So if you said that shit, you produced everyone on the planet. So
And we're gonna have to rewind it a little bit, but he's saying right here, he said they took your spirituality and said it's wrong, said it's evil, and then they give you their spirituality and it doesn't look like you. So I'm gonna address both. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He's
So
doing
I'm
the
gonna address
same
both those
thing he's
points.
accusing them. I just want to say that he's doing the same thing he's accusing the West doing. He said the
yeah,
West
back-
said it was wrong, and now he's saying it's wrong without
Yeah.
any evidence or good reason. But go ahead.
So you're saying they're wrong for doing that, but you're doing the same thing to them as they did to other people. My point is saying right here is that so people's beliefs or spiritualities can be wrong. I covered this earlier. There was that the Aztecs were sacrificing 2,000 people plus a year, hearts on a temple. You see it in the Bible where Astaroth and Molech, where they would literally put babies on burning hot hands to sacrifice to the gods. And they would have to play the drums really, really loud so that the parents couldn't hear their own baby screeching. Who here, all the folks out there that are listening, who here likes the movie 300? In the movie 300, remember what they do to the babies that were deformed in some kind of way?
They throw them off the cliff.
They got rid of them. Now, do you think that's a good belief or a bad belief? And those beliefs were based off their spiritual practices. That's why I keep telling y'all out there, listen to this, y'all. We all perceive the world through a very Judeo-Christian lens. That's why life is important and valuable to us. Not all cultures valued human life. I already shared with you earlier. Some society, but I learned this in school. I didn't learn this in some type of Google search. When I was in class, 1st through 12th grade, I remember learning about cultures, and they talked about a society of people that they would bury their elderly people because they didn't want to technically delete them. So they would bury them and then leave them there to be gone because they couldn't contribute to society. There was no social security at the time for people like that. There was no geriatric home, whatever you want to call it, right? They just were people that couldn't defend themselves anymore, but were still needed food and water. And that's a limited resource. That takes a lot of work to get. So keep that in mind. When he's saying they called your practices evil, there were a lot of evil practices going on. Women's bodies being sacrificed for the gods. A lot of this stuff was happening. The major religions we have today, like Islam, Christianity, they ended a lot of that stuff. You got to understand that. You don't understand it now because you live in 2024. But there was a time when ships came to a port and they go and see what's happening amongst the people. And they go, oh, these people are doing this. They're doing that. They're sacrificing people. They're doing this and doing that. And they go and try to convert them out of this stuff. And they write this stuff down. If you wanted to learn about that, you can go learn about these practices that were happening. The world we have today isn't the world that it was 300 years ago, 500 years ago. Think about slavery itself. Slavery was ended by abolitionists that had a spiritual practice because slavery was everywhere. And nobody had a problem with slavery historically except for slaves. There was only modern history when people that weren't slaves go, you know what? Maybe we should stop doing that. Because I think what if they got a soul like us? What if they're made in God's image like we are?
Keep in mind they're both using this. Both sides are utilizing the same tool to justify their actions. which doesn't make the tool the bad thing.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna get back to the video. I just want everybody. I think I was gonna make 2 points. I don't know if I addressed both points, but so unfortunately, I might leave one point unaddressed.
What's the white man's?
He said he called them evil. He only said he called them your practices evil, and then then they made them look like you. They didn't look like you, y'all. If he's talking about the Bible and Christianity, y'all gotta remember this. We gotta keep this in mind. All the folks out there, put your thinking caps on. The Bible does not originate in the Americas or Europe. He's playing off the fact, he's banking on the fact that you're so brainwashed by anti-Christian, anti-American, anti-European culture and society that you're just going to believe it on faith because he said it. But the Bible, the first Christians were in African areas. Africa, Middle East, whatever you want to call it. They're going to talk about Middle East in Africa, right? So we'll call it Africa. The oldest Christian churches are in Ethiopia. Paul was mistaken for being an Egyptian in the book of Acts. So however Paul looked, he looked so close to an Egyptian that they thought he was an Egyptian. So whatever that means to you, understand that the people in the Bible, if you believe they look like, Jerry Seinfeld or, Tom Brady, you're mistaken. So don't let them beguile you in that way to think that just because you're reading a book that's being pressed and published in the Americas, that the people contained within that book didn't look like you.
Say it's evil.
Vid.
Now you're reliant on us for your definition of spirituality, and that definition doesn't look like you.
And that's where the lack of history comes in, though, the lack of information, because you wouldn't be tripping off that because you created all of them hairstyles. So if you said that shit, you produced everyone on the planet. So whenever hairstyle you wear, that's your shit.
Well, so under the guise of the church, and then I'm gonna throw it to you, Jess. Under the guise of the church, under the guise of religion, these motherfuckers have been able to walk into every fucking country and say, "You motherfuckers are heathens." Yep.
Because God looks like me.
Take this Bible,
take this book, and give us the land.
Right.
You fuckers. You don't know how to manage this shit.
That's right.
Only Christ.
Right. This is God's land.
Right.
Chose stupid asses out of you animals. You some sexy animals too. I might fuck all of you in the name of Jesus.
All right.
Pause.
I have this book.
Real quick, before I just wanted to clarify or not clarify, but confirm what you were talking about earlier. What you were just describing is called the composition fallacy. I know you've said it multiple times, but I want to attach that definition to it. So when people have a problem with the depiction of a white Jesus, people are saying, well, Jesus wasn't white, and it's a composition fallacy when they would say Jesus wasn't white, so the whole thing isn't true, which is essentially what Zoe Williams is doing right now. There are pieces and parts of and not of Christianity, but of different people's versions of Christianity, or people who were spreading the dominant culture, spreading it. There are aspects of that version that may not track. That doesn't invalidate the entire belief system or the entire religion as a whole. Just because Jesus wasn't white, that doesn't mean that Jesus doesn't exist now.
Facts.
Now, Vulcan, you had a point you were about to make. That's why you paused it.
No, we can go ahead. I don't recall what the point was. I'm sure it'll come back up again
and say, "You motherfuckers are heathens."
Because God looks like me.
Take this Bible,
take this book, and give us the land.
Right.
You.
Oh yeah. Pause it real quick. Just take this book and give us the land. I mean, that's funny. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not funny. I know that famous quote. They came with Bibles and they told us to close our eyes and pray. And we opened our eyes up. We had the Bible and they had the land. That's hilarious. But most of Christianity specifically did not spread by the sword.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Freshly?
No, go ahead. I was exclaiming that was a good point you're making.
Yeah, it wasn't. That's a very small fraction of how Christianity got spread. But just keep this in mind, everybody. A lot of that was Roman Catholicism, which I have my critiques about as well. But my point is saying this right here. I mean, Protestants were persecuted by the Roman Catholic Church.
Well,
so even people that had a very similar belief to them, they didn't like you. They was gonna try to get rid of you. Period.
but that belief system, that's attributing or conquering to the Bible. They're acting as if people came onto the land, handed them the Bible, and said, "Listen, the Bible says this is our stuff. Go ahead and give us that." That's not what happened.
Yeah.
What happened was Christian nations who conquered, right? Just like any other, whatever other religions who had conquered, right? Whatever African cultures, whatever Asian cultures were conquering, they all installed, their religion because they were the dominant culture. That's what happened. It's not as if Christianity gave them the permission to do it, whether they said it or not. What happened is they came in, they killed everybody, they won the war. They said, "Hey, this is what we do over here. Now that you guys were over there, but now you over here, you do this too." It wasn't the other way around. Like, here's the book and now we taking your land. It's more like we took your land and now you do what we do because you part of us. We assimilated you. Now you assimilate to our culture. The dominant culture says we believe in this particular belief system. So again, people are demonizing the tool as opposed to criticizing the tool wielder, if you will.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, so back to this point about they took the land. Most of that is not the case. You look at Africa, the places that were taken over there. Again, a lot of that's Catholic, Roman Catholic again. But the reality is that most of Christianity didn't spread that way. Christianity was already there. A lot of the first Christians were African people.
Right.
So the thing is, it's not like a thing where Africa was on some kind of isolated vacuum of space, and then some Christians got into a spaceship and flew over there and said, "Hey, look, from now on, this is our land. And oh, by the way, here's a free book you get to have." That's not what happened. So just keep that in mind when you're hearing these guys talk. They're making it sound like it's some kind of, again, a sinister plot that happened and that everybody was walking around with swords and Bibles telling everybody to convert or die. That wasn't what the case.
It's an appeal to emotion. That story, that equivocation is designed to make you upset, to make you feel something, so you just rock with
it. So if any of y'all are upset when you hear that, shout out to Zoe. You got it.
He did it. Mission accomplished.
You don't know how to manage this shit.
That's right.
Only Christ.
Right. This is God's
That's
land.
right.
Show stupid asses out of you animals. You some sexy animals too. I might fuck all of you in the name of Jesus.
All right. I have this book which entitles me to all of your pussy and valuables.
Even though you are animalistic to me.
Give now, not necessarily.
Pause it real quick.
Pussy comes fast.
Oh my.
Pause it real quick.
Pussy and land.
I think he said give me 3 minutes and
claim it all.
Anywho, I'm gonna just say this right now. I would challenge Zoe Williams to show me in the Bible, or Jeff to show me in the Bible that scripture that says it entitles them to all of the valuables and stuff. I would challenge them to show me that in any Bible, in any version of the Christian Bible that says I could present this, and here's a scripture here that says all this stuff is mine. Vulcan, Enos, y'all familiar with a verse in the Bible that deems that okay?
Sorry, Deems, what okay? I was putting something in the comments.
No, he said, "Dude, the red looks like Timu Kobe Bryant." You're wild. No, what I was saying is, so if we rewind, I'll ask Enos to rewind it, maybe just a minute, to where they start talking about scriptures in the Bible that said there's stuff in this book that entitles me to all your valuables and your women and so forth and so on.
Oh
Are you guys
yeah,
are you
yeah,
guys aware
no,
in the
not
Bible?
there's, yeah. I mean, there's definitely nowhere in the Bible that says that. All they can maybe do is like go to narratives, special situations in the Old Testament where a war took place like that, and people they were allowed to take certain things from the land as they did it.
Right, but
That
these
didn't happen. But you see other places where they were
war, right?
say, don't take it, don't take anything from the land.
But
Don't
these
take
are
anything
rules of
from these
war.
people.
Do they count as rules
So,
of
but that's a
Christianity?
narrative. That's a story that happened. It wasn't like a teaching. Not at all.
Thank you. That's
Not at all.
what
Oh, your face.
I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to get at because that concept applies for any war, whether the war was whether it's Asian, um, African, European, uh, whatever other cultures out there. Most cultures, when they are the dominant culture, they win a war. They take something called the spoils of war. The spoils of war is not something that originated in the Bible or originated in Christian beliefs. Again, I really got to know. One of the first questions I want to ask Zoe Williams, if we ever interact with him, is like, who in Christianity hurt you, bro? Because he takes a lot of the ills that you could attribute to just people in general and attributes them somehow to the Abrahamic faith. And like, man, Abrahamic faith said this person could do this. No, that's not how that works. People suck. The world around, no matter what religion that they claim, no matter what philosophy they believe, atheist sucks. I'm pretty so basically. I would like to say, listen, Zoe Williams, anybody who believes what you believe, none of them are locked up. None of them are have ever done anything wrong. Because if they do, then can I now attribute the wrongdoings that individual did to your belief system? Is that how that works, or do people do what they want to do?
And
Do
freshly,
what they're gonna do?
your face is gone.
Oh, my little icon.
Your avatar.
Yeah, and
And for those, and
you
for
know, one of
those,
these comments.
practice.
Ain't no practice bitch said I'm a translator for you. Thou shalt not speak on Zoe's name, or we shall ride our steeds and discover thy household. Basically, if you speak on my man, we finna slide. Is that we finna spin the block on y'all?
Yeah, I don't know if we addressed what they were saying earlier when they was talking about the council in Nicaea. I wanted to add more people start talking about. I guess there's some of the things they was talking about during this conference. Oh well, I mean during I said the conference, but the council in Nicaea. My voice is going up. Sorry.
It's a conference.
Saying the council.
Yeah, the council of Nicaea.
It was a conference. I mean, conference is
Yeah,
fair.
this the stuff he was saying in the beginning video became popular with the author named Dan Brown, who wrote the Da Vinci Code.
Mhm.
Dan Brown. That's a good book.
Yeah. But there's
Can't
not a
believe
lot of historical sources that actually support that. I just want to keep that in mind.
And you will be labeled as heathens as we study your deepest spiritual
give me your
knowledge.
quotes.
To the literal point to where they were taking land, it was jewels, it was called booty, and that's what you call a woman's ass today. They would take a female, they would take the jewels, they would take the land, all of that was called booty, and that's why you call a female's ass today booty.
Deliver your
Wow.
booty.
Hey,
Deliver your
just so
booty.
y'all know, that's not the why.
I will be needing your quartz, your guide.
You said what, Fresh?
That's not why. You just said a bunch of stuff that's not true.
You want to address it?
No,
All right.
I'm not gonna waste my time on it. I'm just saying all he did was slide something cool in there, and it's people that's gonna go away from this video who watch this video and be like, man, booty, the word booty came from this. No, it didn't. Holy smokes.
I guess they using they form a hermeneutics how they interpret it, things they research. They do the same thing that
Well, he is, but Zoe said that the truth is the truth. It doesn't need a lawyer. We need hermeneutics.
but he becomes the hermeneutics.
Exact. Hey, you know what? Run your mouth.
This is why I wanted to say this is the difference, because you keep bringing up Eastern practices, the Eastern spirituality. Let me tell you why Christianity is unique, not only from Eastern spirituality, but from a Judaic or Abrahamic faith. Christians are, if I'm not mistaken, the only religion that actually goes out and evangelize. Most of
Say
the
it again.
they're the only religion that goes out and evangelize and tell people or ask people do they want to hear the gospel or want to hear.
Right.
If you go on the east, where there's Buddha or he mentioned Hinduism, you have to go to their location to find out what they're about. So for those that's having internal conflict to find out or try to figure out what doctrine is more authentic or credible, think about it this way. What would you rather trust? I just asked this question. Doctrines that's hidden in a cave somewhere deep in the mountains that's guarded by one person for the last thousands or 700 years, or a doctrine or a library of books that was dispersed the first 300 years of AD, and multiple people had their hands on these doctrines, was able to converse and interpret and go over and come up and figure out what's the interpretation of these texts. Multiple sources saying the same thing. Thousands, not only just thousands of people, diversity, different cultures had the same text. What seems more credible? You know. Anyway, that's why that's the difference between Easter. So what Zoe's interpreting, he's probably one of the few guys that's actually interpreting what these Easter practices are actually saying.
Well, but that's the thing. He's also interpreting, but
Mhm.
he's interpreting it as the truth. These are just his beliefs, his understanding of the situation. Which again, we keep calling this out. Is he's essentially doing the same? He's practicing the same thing that he's condemning.
And
Is
think about he's interpreting what 3,000 years later. Their
that,
interpretation of the early church was the first 100 years, first
yeah, yeah,
300 years.
exactly. Some of those stories were coming from while it was happening.
Yeah, why was happening
He's saying
for
these
testimonies
are
for people that were still living.
exactly. But he would take those everything in the Bible, right? These are people in the Bible who are saying, "I was there. This is written by me." There's also context involved in these things, right? So these stories are involved, right, about Jesus, but the whole Bible is not necessarily about Jesus, right? There's other stories in there that's talking about other people and things that happen in other people's lives.
Mhm.
So what you he would take all of that and he would lessen it to metaphorical stories like the Three Little Pigs, right? But
Mhm.
the problem with that is you have to take the Bible. If you're going to condemn the Bible, you have to condemn the Bible in its entirety, and you cannot minimize the Bible to the thing that you're trying to criticize when it's so much more. And again, he's saying he's essentially saying, right, and this goes to the this goes to the composition fallacy, where he's essentially saying somebody, actually it's not the composition fallacy. I'll tell you at the end. He's saying somebody he would prefer to believe before somebody created an entire Bible, right? An entire story. Somebody took a whole bunch of stories, created them all, gave them context, gave them timestamps, everything, and went out and had them confirmed by other people. He would prefer to believe that as a conspiracy as opposed to these people just wrote these books.
Mm.
This is help me out, Enos. This is the fallacy where it essentially says, and I forget the name of it, but I'll chime in later. It essentially says that the it's Occam's razor.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
Occam's razor.
taking the simplest version makes the most sense, right?
Simplest version. Right.
Because what he's saying, that's what when you state this is like for the audience, this is a critical thinking show. We're not historians, but we deal with dabble just to give more context to the show. So his premise is he doesn't believe that's in the Bible or Western religion that is he doesn't believe it was real. So that's his premise. Now, what is his reasons? What is his reasons not believing it? What is he concluding? His reasons is he believed that God is a canvas. This is the best he could do, is a canvas, and you could just you write on this canvas what you think God is. That's his argument against 2,000 years of a religion that's been debated, and vetted for the last couple thousand years. But I want to touch on what I was saying earlier. What's some of the benefits of a manuscript that's widely dispersed, right? And testified, in the early days of the church. Like we said, that was the first 300 years. These documents and these manuscripts dispersed all over the West, considered Europe, and even the Middle Eastern and top of Africa, which is considered Egypt. One of the benefits, I just go, well, one of it is peer review. When you got when you circulate manuscripts widely, of course, amongst people who study language, who are considered experts, you can receive valuable feedback of what the text is saying. That's one thing, peer review. Validation is one of them. When you got multiple people, multiple experts looking at reviewing certain texts, that gives more evidence, or what's another word I want to say? Credibility. It gives credibility that this text is some truth to this text, right? To this manuscript. And no, I give it some more because he's probably going to touch on this. I don't want to keep going. You got anything before we get to the video?
No, we can keep rocking.
All right.
Diamonds and your bitches.
Your batch. Your batches.
All of your biatches. All of them.
Your biatches.
I will require.
Although I think you are animals, I am sexually attracted to all of you. I would like to plunder your booty.
I'm going to plunder booty.
Plunder.
Right after. Right now. I shall be having whatever that delightful smell is that is from those huts. We shall eat food. Fuck their bitches. Kill them. Do it with this book.
Now you fast forward to today.
Yes.
Because they're the ones that are the authority.
Oh yeah.
Of what is
what? Of what is what?
What is what?
Nigga, you didn't go to my school? Did you stupid?
Right. They're the authority. Everything they do is the benchmark that everybody is reaching for.
For whatever fucking reason, other than bullying.
That I'm gonna get fired if y'all.
Oh, she laughing in the
No, that's a brother. He said he's gonna get fired. Hey, but again, we still pagans today. We're still Gentiles today.
Real bad.
Think now.
Is that what that?
Yeah,
Okay.
Listen, man.
Gentlemen, Gentile men.
Is that just doing that over here?
Yeah, the video's kind of choppy.
Okay, how you existed? You in the 1800s, bitch.
Thousands and thousands of years before you.
This was thousands of years before you. How are you the founder of that?
Because I took the cover off of it when nobody was looking. You couldn't see it. Now you can see it.
What I'm saying?
You good, Fresh?
Covered it.
Exactly.
Or
No, this new age
I
shit.
discovered it.
Right. I discovered it.
Right.
So now, new age. Oh, this is old. Just can we put the critical thought on it real quick? Ancient Africans didn't have a devil.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
This is what I'm confused about when he said ancient religions didn't have, ancient African religions didn't have a devil, right? If you all right now let me go back.
I mean, I got a point to make if you don't have a point, but go ahead.
Go ahead. Well,
I was gonna say, just saying, like, so what? I mean, why is the African spirituality the standard? He doesn't explain that.
Because it was the first. That's what he's saying. Because African was here first.
Yeah, but I mean, like, which African practice? Africa has a lot of people, a lot of different things. Like, there's thousands of different spiritual African practices.
Exactly.
Which one is the one he's saying was the first? And is he saying that none of those ones have a devil in it?
Exactly.
So we don't know that. And again, maybe they got it wrong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what we touched on this earlier. How just because they're in the same continent doesn't mean all the cultures are the same. Egypt spiritual practices is way different from West Africa. It's like night and day. And Nigerian spiritual or religions or practices are different from. Well, I'm talking about the practices outside of the Abrahamic faith. The Western Africa is different from South Africa. So which one are you talking about? Because when you study some of the religions in Egypt, they talk about evil all the time, and that's why I like that quote when Cat Williams was on Joe Rogan. When Joe Rogan asked the same questions, when he said, just thinking about the devil and angels, this stuff is crazy. It's hard to really believe or wonder where this stuff come from. And he asked a simple question. He said, "Let's just start with good and evil. Let's just start there. And we both know these things exist, right and wrong. Then it's extremes on both sides."
Hey, Vulcan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I can hear you. Did you hear me say I can hear you?
Just real quick. You had ancient Kemet. They had night and day, Heru and Set.
Right.
And it wasn't a devil though.
It was just a battle.
Night and fucking day. It was nature. Netaru.
Yes.
Neger.
Yep.
It was nature. Okay. How did come out of Africa, land in Europe, and become witchcraft? And become evil?
Here's how.
See, that's the problem when you blame things and you say it's just nature. That's why I keep bringing up the court system. If somebody wronged you and their response is, "Hey, it's just nature." How do you hold people accountable for doing things that's wrong? That's what separates Christianity from other religions. The words that's in the Bible is a standard to what's holy and what's not, what's right and what's wrong. It's very clear distinction between the two.
Yeah, when he talks about like it came over here and landed pagan. No, it was pagan when it was over there too. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
it was pagan the whole way through.
Hold on, let me read the comments before I get back in. Not a double pounded by Zoe. Freshly Waffle House shifted just started. Oh, that's hilarious. Somebody tip to cook. Yeah, give my man some tips, man.
Yeah.
Eggs over and easy. Well, the Bible said you're evil by nature, doesn't it? Oh, good question. Good question,
right?
Who want to tackle that first?
The simple answer is yes. Mm-hmm. We're sinful by nature, not evil.
Mm-hmm. And Zoe was talking about the nature that's outside of what's inside of us, though. That's what Zoe's referring to. Like he said, night and day.
Which backs up my theory that no man is closer to God than any other. If I do that, then how the fuck can I pimp you as I am? But that's not enough. So that your own, I'm gonna deem other shit than my way.
No, so now you're talking about hierarchy. Let's create a hierarchy.
Yeah,
But no, but Satanism, real quick, how it got perverted. When they started Satanism, it was actually just a rebellion against the church. So that's why everything was inverted. That's why you have Christ, you have Antichrist. The cross upside down, flipped it upside down. So they just inverted everything just to piss the church off.
Right.
So they didn't believe in devil worship and shit like that. They were actual pagans. They believed in nature, spirituality, all of that shit. But they were like fuck the church.
So the same way the Crips bastardized.
Exactly.
So watch this. Thank you for doing that, Jeff. Who's the fucking bad guy in the Bible?
In the Bible?
The bad guys. Starting the Bible, It was the fucking Egyptians.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Egyptians were the bad guys.
You mean the people that enslaved the poor Jews?
Okay.
The horribly poor.
Let's-
Yeah, them.
let's-
Yeah.
let's-
Pause.
somewhere else. But that's fine.
Fair use, all the folks out there. Brief biblical breakdown here. Egypt was in the Bible depicted as the land of opportunity, the land of milk and honey, in a sense. It was the land of affluence. It was a land of riches. It was a land of beauty and wealth. And what happens is you got the story of Joseph in the Bible where, you know, his brothers sell him into slavery. He ends up in Egypt and he becomes really cool with the Pharaoh. And is a famine. And so the people of, the Jews go to, Egypt. And then that Pharaoh dies. And then new Pharaohs pop up that don't particularly deal with the Jews on that same level. And they were harsh taskmasters. And they were enslaved. So the Bible doesn't depict Egyptians as the bad guys all the time. It depends who was in power. But even more importantly than that, the Bible depicts the Jews as being the bad guys. Very, very often.
Yeah. Shout out to King David.
Probably more than anybody else, right? I mean, who did Jesus come back and who was Jesus going off on?
Good point.
I mean, so, Zoe has a decent point there, but I think he's missing the bigger picture, which the Bible just says that mankind is sinful, as freshly pointed out, and that it's going to be pointed out. You're going to be held accountable for it, no matter who you are. God would use other countries, other civilizations to judge Israel. And they would go into captivity in Babylonia and Egypt, different places. The Syrians, I believe. There's different times where you see they get conquered by different people. They were judged by God. So the bad guys are all kind of different people in the Bible. Nineveh. The list goes on and on and on. He would have you believe, by the way he's wording it, that because he says, who are the bad guys? So there's only one bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Egyptians. Y'all, folks out there, always do your research. Always listen to the words people are using. Is this misleading language? There were plenty of bad guys. Even the people whose history the book is telling are considered the bad guys at many points in time in the literature.
Yep.
Vid.
The people who wrote these stories are not from a different culture, right? They just telling what happened. Hey, Jesus came here and got to flipping these tables up in this market because they was wilding out. They from the same hood. They from the same hood. They from the same background. It's just a different belief system. You niggas is doing something wrong. And that's what to just reiterate what Vulcan said. People like this would say those things as an appeal to emotion to verify and validate
appeal to emotion
without going into any sort of context or any sort of elaboration. Because if they were to go into if they were to elaborate on these points, then it would take some of the heat off of their point of view, their perspective, or their point they're trying to make, which they can't afford to do because they need you to to base your beliefs or base what you're thinking or what you believe off of the things that they are saying as opposed to the quote unquote facts or the truth.
And one thing I noticed with a lot of the so-called Black intellectuals, usually when they try to debunk the ideas or the practices in Christianity, they at times they lead with race first.
Because it's an appeal to emotion. They know that that's a hot topic for us.
Instead of just dealing with the arguments and dealing with the text, they like to always throw the race in there, and that can be misleading. So
yeah, so I want to say, all my non-Black people out there, all my folks that are not Black out there, hey, you guys are holding us accountable, y'all. Don't let it slide. Don't say, well, I can't say anything because I'm not. That's genetic fallacy. Hold us accountable.
Yep.
Yeah, you might get beat up for it, but keep the fight alive. Someone got to do it.
You live to fight another day.
You win some, you lose some, but you live.
And why wouldn't? And this is what I was talking about this with some family members, because you see a lot of the debates that's online, a bunch of atheists debating a lot of Christian guys, polarizing debates. You got white guys, atheists that hate the Bible. Why don't they use a lot of this Egyptian stuff some of these black guys are using? And some of these atheists are, homosexuals. So you can't say that they care about, you know, uh, you can't say that they care too much about the black men because they might. I might have a camera pause moment. I might try. How can I say
No,
this?
no, just don't do it. Just
Yeah,
don't do it.
yeah. But I'm saying so they don't have any stake in that. So why when they go back and use the research Zoa's using to debunk a lot of these Christian Christian guys in these debates, why aren't they using this information?
Because they know those points are trash.
How
They,
about
they,
this?
they
How
hate
about
the
this
Bible.
point, though?
Go ahead.
How about this point? If Christianity is the white man's religion and is used to solely benefit the white man at the expense of the black man, why are there white atheists?
Yeah.
Why are there white agnostics? Why are there white people who don't believe in the Bible if it's solely built to benefit them?
Bars.
That's part of the bullshit.
Yes,
propaganda.
that's my whole point.
Right. But Egyptians are the bad guys.
Mhm.
The dragon is the bad guy. Names you call yourself are the bad guys.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. The most evil motherfuckers in the world. They didn't call that woman Helena Petrovna Blavatsky one of the most evil people in the world because she wrote a book called Lucifer. Who called himself Lucifer? He wrote a book called Lucifer too. Crowley, Aleister Crowley. But all these niggas was on Egyptian shit.
Right.
Wait a minute. You gonna call this shit evil? You come from Christian families. You come from Christian belief systems. You gonna call all this shit evil while you're studying it?
But what does Satan mean? What does Satan mean?
It just means adversary.
There you go. So they were adversaries
Pause.
of the church.
But that's what I'm saying. We were adversaries.
Pause. This is what I say about Zoe. Like, I mean, he does have a gift. I mean, like, if you listen to what he's saying, but you don't actually try to interpret it, it does. This is gonna sound crazy saying it does make a lot of sense. But when you actually let your mind peruse what he's talking about and start to decipher it and dissect it, you realize that's a nonsensical statement. He just said they call what you do evil
While they're studying.
while they're studying it.
So what you doing?
How would I know if it's good or evil if I don't study it?
Preach. So
Wouldn't it be worse? Wouldn't it be worse to call it evil without studying
you know
it?
what you're talking about.
Yeah. Would it be worse to call it evil without studying it?
Say that. Jeff, you come from a Christian household. You calling this stuff evil? What? Why you was studying it? Was you evil that whole time?
Is this what's taken as serious scholarship in the Black community?
I don't know any Black person who thinks these people are intellectuals. Now they exist. I'm just saying I don't know any of them.
Yeah.
Of the church. Why? Because we had higher knowledge.
What does Satan mean? What does Satan mean?
It just means adversary.
There you go. So they were adversaries of the church.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
We were adversaries of the church. Why? Because we had higher knowledge.
Yes.
The fuck y'all niggas believe it?
This bullshit.
Y'all thought this was a real man? This is a metaphor for the sun.
Yeah.
This is astrotheology. We're talking about the movement of the skies.
Yeah, the three kings.
That's
What are
embarrassing.
we doing?
Yes.
Yo, this is crazy. He's saying that, that Jesus is a metaphor for the sun. I mean, again, going back to he just said the bad guys were in Egypt. You got to make it all make sense. You got the sun god Ra in Egypt, who just said the Bible makes the bad guy. But Jesus is a metaphor for that in some kind of way. They practice astrology in Egypt. They practice astrology in Babylon. They practice astrology around the world. That was all considered to be witchcraft. And the Israelites were commanded to stay away from it and don't even interact with their women. don't marry their women, don't in any way, fashion, or form subscribe to their
bloodlines.
religions.
Yep.
Don't bring that stuff into this place. So I just really don't see, the astrology component he's bringing up. It's just like I already addressed it. It's anachronistic. Everybody, a lot of historians trace, astrology to the Babylonians initially. The Babylonian time in history, that's already that's way after the fact that there's already 12 tribes and blah 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 blah. So the 12, 12, 12. So they say the 12 tribes, the 12 this. They're trying to say that's the zodiac. You talk to an astronomer, they would tell you there's supposed to be 13, signs anyway. So, astrology is and these guys believe in astrology, but astrology has been debunked by science, been debunked by sociology, it's been debunked by the astronomers. It's not a science. It is a spiritual belief system. I don't care if people believe it or not. That's their business, but I just want everybody to understand this. It's not accurate. So when he's saying that, and saying that Jesus is supposed to be some type of metaphor for that, there's no proof of that. The people that were writing about Jesus believed that Jesus was a real person. Historically, historians wrote about Jesus that weren't Christians. Christians and non-Christians wrote about Jesus. So did the Romans know that it was some type of astrology thing too? The Muslims wrote about Jesus in the Quran 400 or 500 years after the fact. Did they know that it was astrology?
No, it was a giant. Hey, it's a giant conspiracy, man. They're all in on it. Everybody, the evil guys, the people who crucified them, all of them, they're all in on it.
Everybody was in on it, yeah.
And even when the book came out back then, these stories were widespread. The Romans, who were the quote unquote bad guys in that story, they didn't have nothing to say about it, man.
Yeah, Jesus is one of the most historically attested figures of history, and they would have to be able to prove that genre of metaphorically writing about astrology while using these figures, these people as individuals, was even a genre at the time. Not every genre of writing existed in every culture. Like, I get it. We're in 2024 now, and we know that because we learn in school, we have access with these vast libraries to all the different cultures, not all, but a lot of different cultures from human history. And we can go look at all the different types of writing styles. That doesn't mean at that time that they had that writing style existing. We don't know if this metaphorical writing, mystical writing thing was even a thing the Israelites did at that time. We have no record of that. So you're assuming a certain writing style, metaphorical writing style, that didn't even exist with them at the time. These people are saying they're writing actual history. They believe they're writing actual history. It cost them their lives. The disciples died horrible deaths. They were living in a Roman Empire, an empire that was really, really, really good at getting rid of people.
Well, actually, it's been documented that the Romans went to Africa, went to Egypt, and killed a lot of Christians out there in Egypt, and tried to get rid of a lot of the manuscripts they had. That's been documented too.
All for an astrology metaphor. Yo, crucifixion was such a painful process and way to die. That's where we get the word excruciating. It means out of the cross. So you got this figure in history that was crucified, and that's supposed to be some kind of metaphor for astrology.
It's all Occam's duct tape, man.
Yeah,
that's what's happening.
Like I said, if you haven't turned off the validity of have the validity of the things that happened in the past pertaining to Christianity, just look at it this way. I'm gonna try to make it simpler. 400 years ago, our ancestors was enslaved. There's documents that support that, right? We believe that. Most of us believe that, right? Versus, that's what 400 years, versus thousands of documents that's recording history back in those days. That's thousands of years that's been documented versus what we believe in the 400 years that's documented on slavery. So
Yeah. An audience again. Why would these people be using a metaphor for astrology that they have didactically written in the text that they're forbidden from observing? And the Christians and the Jews were historically hated by civilizations around them for being so anti all of the spiritual practices. That's one of the reasons why they were hated so much. They would not bow to Caesar. They didn't want to bow to the Babylonian gods. This is not in any way a metaphor for astrology. It's historically debunked. There's people who still carry on the lineage of the Israelites to this day. They're anti-astrology. Vid.
The sun is also.
Oh, we're adversaries of that shit.
Thank you.
So now, if you claim it today, you're a devil worshiper.
But then devil only means, devil only means slander, somebody to talk shit.
Boom.
So yeah, I'm talking shit about the church. That's why an average person, you would label, again, back in the day, just a layman person would be called devil, because anyone who's slandering anyone else would be called a devil. That became attributed to Satan, or the big devil, the anti-Christ.
Revelations, that old serpent, the devil. You get the white people in Europe claiming to be the dragon.
How'd that happen?
The king called himself
Pendragon.
Dragon. Tell him what Pendragon means.
It means feathered serpent.
You mean like Quetzalcoatl?
Yes. Yes.
Some more aboriginal shit that is now pagan?
Or Pendragon, feather, and then dragon means, so it actually means enlightened, someone who is enlightened. So if you take the two words and break the words down, so pen means feather, dragon means sight.
So as
sight.
opposed to that time,
these are what white people call themselves.
in this time.
Pendragon.
Yeah, the enlightened. So the motherfucker who was at the top was supposed to be the enlightened one.
So in that time, as opposed to or directly laid over the template of this time, what would that make us, the three of us? Would we be considered dragons because we're fairly enlightened?
Oh, no question.
No
I'm a
doubt.
dragon, nigga.
Well, dragons, because a lot of people are getting at me about the difference between the dragons and the phoenix. You had a golden dragon and you had the dark dragon, the cats who came in and didn't abuse that knowledge. Okay, the dark dragons were they just mashed on everybody. They didn't give a fuck. So an example of a golden dragon would be somebody like Saladin of ancient times, who took back Jerusalem from the Christians. He came
who helped healed King Richard.
Yeah. Sent that motherfucker some
herbs and
snow.
ice
Yep,
and
packed in
shit.
snow.
Yeah.
So that was a golden
It's
dragon.
because we read.
But
Is he Ottoman Empire or
you can read anything on Saladin.
or Suleiman the Great?
Oh yeah, Suleiman the Great. But
that was the book.
But there is the Ottoman Empire. It's in there. It's in there too. But if you take that, you take Saladin as a golden dragon. But then the Phoenix people were more like artists and scholars and people like that. So they didn't necessarily believe in the fighting aspect of it. Which, although they didn't believe in it. But let's pass the information. Let's share the information. That was more important shit.
But that's what I keep trying to say. We have bought into the label pagan. To me, pagan means people without a purpose, people without a spiritual purpose.
he's doing it right there. He's accusing people interpreting the Bibles, and now he's making his definition of what pagan means.
He said to me, even though pagan has a definition.
So he's exactly.
Yeah, what it reminds me of is, you ever been in a situation where somebody's lying and you call them a liar? But don't call me a liar. I'm like, you're clearly lying. We both already understand you're lying. Yeah, but don't call me a liar. And that's what he's going on. It's pagan, but I don't like the word pagan, so I'm gonna redefine it and hate y'all for calling me it. That's what he's doing.
But he's going to question the validity when linguists, or what he said, hermeneutics, he's going to question their judgment. But look what he's doing. Let me explain to people.
You want to read the comments first or afterwards? It's up to you.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. For guys that's in a particular field or a skill set or trade that you work to get or obtain, when you work, say like if you're a welder, when you're welding, you're working at this job maybe 40 hours. For those in the blue collar, you like to get overtime, so it's like 40 to 60 hours a week. So you spend more time on your craft than you do in your family. Guys that study language who's skilled in this area, they spend a lot of time understanding how words work, what words mean, and the difference. I'm talking about linguists. And Zoe is not a linguist. So him coming up with these definitions, these terms, would be different the way these guys that actually study and do this for a living. So keep that in mind. When he's coming up with his own definition, what this mean, that mean, just remember that he's not debating nobody on this issue. This is him talking on the soapbox. It's best to really be debate. It's best for him to actually debate these things against somebody who's considered an expert.
We have bought into the label pagan. To me, pagan means people without a purpose, people without a spiritual purpose, people who don't know who the fuck they really are. Because you bought into a label that was turned derogative. You're a pagan. Wait a minute, believing my own shit makes me a pagan? Yep. And guess what? It's gonna be that way.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that.
Because I'm in power and I say you don't get to believe that way. You wanna move up, don't you, nigga?
Don't you, nigga?
You wanna make yourself something in this construct, don't you, nigga?
That's what
Yeah,
Jesus'
yeah.
code word.
Pause it real quick.
Jesus.
We got comments. I don't know if you want to read the comments,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But I thought you were gonna do that after you got finished with your point. But so yeah, the thing is that he's saying the pagan thing. To me, it would make more sense to just say, I don't see anything wrong with paganism. Why redefine it and make it more difficult to have the conversation? The conversation should be, what's wrong with paganism? If you acknowledge that you do worship nature. You can have that dialogue about comparing different spiritual beliefs in that way, but to reject the term and then redefine it.
Well, the term by definition, if we're being like, paganism as a practice is subjective. The term by definition just means a religion other than the main religion, somebody who believes outside of the widely established religion. So we believe if we are monotheistic and you are pantheistic, then you're a pagan. You believe differently than us. If I'm the dominant culture and you believe differently than us, then there's going to be more of us who say what I do is right than there are who say what you do is right. So there's an imbalance, of course, but that's the nature of anything.
True. Hey, Volker, you might read what's on the screen? Just I wanted you to read Deuteronomy 4:19 and Deuteronomy 7:2, and then I get to the comments after that.
Okay, so Deuteronomy 4:19 says, and when you look up to the sky and see the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the heavenly array, do not be enticed into bowing down to them and worshiping things the Lord your God has appointed to all the nations under heaven. In fact, Deuteronomy 17:2-5 prescribes a death sentence for anyone found worshiping the creation rather than the Creator.
Yeah.
You said Isaiah 2 or no?
Nah, just those two Deuteronomy. Nah, that was
Okay.
it. Yeah, so I'm gonna read comments, get these out the way. Help the Bear says freshly done.
Don't get the comments out the way. We appreciate the comments. You know, yeah, go ahead.
The genetic fallacy, which is agreeing with what we were saying earlier. He said, damn, we smarter than white folks. Well, how did we get to America? Oh, you wildin'. On slave ships, he said, why we don't have 12 fingers and 12 toes? That's what he's referring to. What is Dungeons and Dragons you speak of? Responded to Zoe, I believe. He can redefine it. It's his story. Yeah, facts. All y'all experts? No, not expert. Far from it. Your beliefs have nothing to do with moving up in your job, per se. Not in America. All right. Let's get back to the video.
But real quickly, I want to
Well,
say this real quick.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Freshly.
I was gonna say that comment you made about if you want to move up in this hierarchy, he would have to be talking about more current practices. But the assertion is that we were inundated, we were indoctrinated with Christianity in slavery times. Where were they moving up to, based on their belief in Christianity? Where was how were they moving up from slavery? That's all.
You read all the comments already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus is the speakeasy password to modern social success.
Wow.
That's the speakeasy password. You come in with Allah or agnosticism, and now you got a problem. But what's happening is there's a changing of the guard at the speakeasy door. So pretty soon, you're going to be laughed at with that old password, Jesus.
The old password.
Jesus is becoming the old password.
Yeah, man.
I like that, Jeff.
Why you got a problem with we calling him Jesus? This in the name Jesus. There's the power in the name Jesus is what is given to you by your acquiescence to the system.
Wait. Let's go back. I'm very powerful. There's power in anything you believe to be true.
Yes, that's yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck what it is.
Nigga, if you worship this fucking thing right here and I can get 10 other motherfuckers to worship it, it's 10 times more powerful.
Let me explain to you why I fuck with prayer and not God.
Oh!
Excuse me.
Oh!
I said that wrong. I fuck with prayer, not religion.
And not religion. I knew where you was going.
I fuck with God and prayer. Because
God and
God and prayer
Pause.
is real.
Pause.
God dang.
You know, hey y'all, when you get caught bandwagoning, it's always a sad sight.
Hey, just call it what it is, man. That man me riding. God dang.
Let me explain to you.
Golly.
I fuck with prayer and not God.
Oh!
This man sound like Yayo, man, with 50
I said
Cent.
that wrong. I fuck with prayer, not religion.
And not religion. I knew where you was going.
I knew where you was going.
Yeah, he had to make up for that quick.
God damn.
You already
He wouldn't have corrected him, though. He would have corrected him if he had to correct it himself. He'd have let it rock out.
Yeah. What he said, nickel.
Tell him about the
God
gun
and
line,
prayer.
boss.
Because I know God and prayer is real.
Yes.
Because it's the power of thought. Shit, my son was at a basketball game yesterday. At a basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
Before that goddamn basketball game, everybody came together at center court and prayed.
Okay.
You think I was against that prayer?
Right on.
It's too much.
The power of thought is limited. I disagree with him.
It's limited. It's non-existent without the works to go behind it. I've been thinking about getting $1 million my whole entire life. It never happened, bro. It hasn't happened yet.
Bro, we got time.
I've been thinking about hitting the lottery this whole time. It hasn't happened yet. The power of thought is not a real thing.
Yeah, the infinite ideas cannot be produced by finite beings, man. I disagree totally.
Think about all the people that are amputees that have been wishing they get their limb can grow back.
See,
the power of thought removes the need for a higher power or a deity. It says that you can create your own reality, and yet there's plenty of poor people who been trying to think their way out of being poor this whole time. And
think about the person that's hungry, that dies of starvation. You only think
telling me all you got to do is think about a nice juicy McDonald's burger, and he could get it, or do you think he got to go out and do something for it?
They eat the McDonald's burger, gonna die anyway. But yeah, go ahead.
It definitely deceives people. You know, those kind of.
You want to die of cancer or starvation? You pick.
Cause hey, listen, I want to know this. That prayer that your son's team prayed when they got together, Was the win involved? Did they win based on the power of thought? I bet you the other team wanted to win too. They thought about it too. One of them had to lose.
Yeah, both teams are praying.
One of them teams had to lose. So the power of thought is not real.
And the crazy thing about it is, like, sometimes losing is winning, and sometimes winning is losing.
Yeah.
So how does that fit?
So even when I'm wrong, I could have been right because I was right, and I could have been wrong, but I was right.
The fusion.
Shout out to White Men Can't Jump.
Man, that's
Get rich and die trying.
that's hustle and flow.
No, get rich and die
That's
trying.
Get Rich and Die Trying. Yeah, that's my fault. Let's Get Rich and Die
Same
Trying.
acting though. Same acting.
Enos came through and got us right. You right.
I was right.
Power
Too much collective energy.
You believe. You make it real. I say God is my metaphor for God is this. God is canvas that's alive, and your thoughts are the paint.
Yes.
And whatever you paint on the canvas.
That's what he's replacing infrastructure with this. That's what he's replacing. Western civilization was built on. Oh man.
God is my metaphor for God is this. God is canvas that's alive, and your thoughts are the paint.
Yes.
And whatever you paint on the canvas comes alive. So I'm not going to shit on Christians. I know you believe in it. So it is real. You're going to testify of the truth of your experience. I can't shut that down because you believe. Y'all motherfuckers came together at this goddamn basketball court and said, we pray that don't nobody get hurt. Nigga, I'm with that prayer.
Right.
Yeah. God give us all good sportsmanship.
Good sportsmanship. We love each other. Yes, I'm with that.
Take away the aggression.
Oh, yeah. I bind the spirit of aggression. There will be no fighting in here. Nigga, I take all that.
I find the spirit of aggression.
I take it all.
Oh my God.
Because again, you got white people out here who have studied the ancient sciences.
We got to read the
said,
comments eventually.
all is mental.
Yep.
The Kabbalion says,
Hey, don't read that last one though.
All is mind. Everything in the universe is mental. But then Buddha, the universe. What is it? What's the quote? Everything is mental.
Everything is mental.
Yeah, everything
I thought my fit was fire until I looked at
My
until
girl said I look like a damn fool.
I ain't mess with that last one. Hilarious.
Yeah, don't read that last one. He
Come on, man.
tweaking.
Yeah, so yeah, I want to say that basically what he's saying about God is that God is living in some kind of way, I guess, but it doesn't have any type of intentionality. So God is just carrying out our thoughts.
I don't even think he's saying that. I think he's saying God is our thoughts.
But then he said
God,
it's living.
God is what we believe he is. God is the intentions or the manifestation of how we.
But this is the reason why I'm not sure about that, because he said living. He says a canvas that's alive. That's what threw me off from that, because he would have said a live part, I would definitely go what you're saying. But he said it's a canvas that's alive.
I think I feel like he means alive, like the way Thor's hammer is alive, or the way Doctor Strange's cape is alive, like sentient.
Yeah, you could be right about that. Zoe, let us know, man. What are you saying?
Clarify. Give us context.
All the folks out there, send us to Zoe. Tell them we need to holler at him real quick. Stick your head in the window.
What you think you become?
yeah. And then here you go. Who is the famous white dude that all the niggas who trying to come up and get rich, he wrote a book. What's that famous book?
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Bow. That's all based off your shit.
Off your thoughts. That's your shit.
Dynamic Thought by Thomas M. Hamblin. Same shit. Thoughts Are Things, Bob Proctor. Well, he got that from an old book. You know that? What's that old book? That old Thoughts Are Things.
Yeah, it's dope though.
Bob is dope.
He's dope.
But all this shit comes from shit they learned from us that into paganism, because it's not under the guise of Christianity.
Do you know why it's not under the...
Stop this, man. This, like I said earlier, listen, him promoting the power of thoughts, and we said this earlier, lacks scientific evidence. The law, and what he essentially we're saying is the law of attraction. It's not supported. by scientific evidence, and also most of the stuff these guys that they mentioning are this stuff is often based on anecdotal experiences rather than, I guess you could say, what, rigorous scientific studies.
And are these guys white that they're quoting?
Yeah. Bob Proctor, he's a white guy. Napoleon Hill is a white guy. Yeah.
It's like they pick and choose when we can use white guys as sources.
Yeah.
We can't use them as sources for spirituality, but we use them as sources for the law of attraction.
Yeah. Because Bob's cool, but get out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The guys in Christianity, because now it puts you all even with the preacher.
See, let me just say, wait, do you remember that video I sent you of Fred Price's son?
Yep.
Who was breaking this shit down?
Killing
that motherfucker
shit.
was so close. I said, you have to either know or don't want to know.
Yep.
Okay, you got to send me that.
That video I sent
he was killing it. He had a gang of information. It was kind of off
a little bit. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It was off a little bit, but he had a gang of actual shit though that he was stringing together. I was like, oh shit, he got that. I mean,
he was stringing it together to fit
his narrative,
a spiritual
narrative.
bias. My thing is, dude, how the is gonna be evil and they protected your God?
What was it, like 12 to 30 or something? When the Bible go dark from Jesus from
where he at?
Nigga, need you.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why you think,
shut your ass up.
Why you think he went dark from 12 to 30? Because that's where you do most of your fucking up, ain't it?
Oh shit.
No, I tell my children, okay, you do understand that the human brain is not fully developed until you're 25, which means until then you are functionally retarded. You do get that, right?
Now they want to use some science.
Masons are evil. Masons are evil. It's symbolic of intellect, knowledge. Right. When you see a spark shining, that boy sparkle. You get what I'm saying? Again, they've told you intellect is evil, but blind belief is virtuous.
But I think that came more from...
Who is they? I got to get on my damn dad. Say a name or you gossiping. Who is that?
Patty.
The true meaning of the word pagan, which is peasant. That came from the people was evil. So you're a person with knowledge.
You all uppity nigga, they gonna kill you.
That's literally all it means.
You're sadiddy bastard.
Thank you, sadiddy. And in modern terms, sadiddy of knowledge. And so you're basically standoffish to people who you know what I'm saying, who you thought were stupid.
I do not like those three because they do a lot of the reading. Books say are in the books, but I don't believe them. They just read.
Nag. Tell him to get down from the nag.
Right. But you see that shit though. That's how they smart motherfuckers was evil because they were uppity.
Go to the hood right now. Go to the hood right now. I am telling you, I learned how to use these doorknobs because I never went to the 6th grade. I made a double from the 5th to the 7th grade when they wanted to put me in the 9th grade, and them niggas around the world let my ass have it on a regular. Answer another question, nigga. Answer one more question. We're gonna whoop your ass.
But again, this comes back to the point, man. The shit that made you special was the originality of your own knowledge. So now I'm going to make it pagan. Right? I'm going to make it evil. God damn it. The light is knowledge. And then I'm going to create propaganda around it. Yes,
pause it real quick. Light. I don't know if he's getting ready to do it, but I don't know if he's done it already, but I know other videos he has. He's really insistent upon this belief that Satan was the first one to go against authority, and he was the light bearer, light being knowledge, and he was going after knowledge, and the Bible is in some way making knowledge a bad thing, and questioning and wanting to be knowledgeable and learn is a bad thing. The Bible says the opposite about knowledge. The Bible says that we should acquire knowledge. So the reality is that what they're saying just doesn't even fit with the actual text. I'm really believing they don't really read it.
No, they don't. That's what I'm saying. They're making these salacious statements about it because they need This is for people who are not going to do their own research. This is designed. His type of rhetoric is designed to tap into the bandwagon fallacy. If you already feel like this, if you already feeling lost, you don't know what's going on, and you refuse to just go do deeper research and find out, this is for you.
Yeah, definitely. And knowledge is to know. Like I'm doing the he said the root word to know. Know. If you study epistemology, what was the acronym JTB, which justified belief turns out to be true, then it's knowledge. That's how you know. But we're gonna do a whole show on that to
just so everybody knows, the word knowledge or know is mentioned over 1,000 times in the Bible.
Facts.
I mean, a lot of it in the Old Testament alone, I think like over 900 times probably in the Old Testament alone. So it's they are so out of step with what the text actually says. It's pretty embarrassing, actually. This really has to be a hit piece.
That's why I said when you were talking about earlier, I was like, bro, this is intentional. I usually go into these types of things thinking like maybe they just have their own sets of beliefs and they believe strongly their way. But this stuff is purposely salacious without any context. There's several points that he's made that if he went into any deeper context or any deeper elaboration on that particular point, it would unravel what he was saying.
Yeah, let me say this too. All the folks out there and the ones who maybe Spocks, the half folks, regular people out there, keep this in mind too. What does that say about you if he thinks he can just say anything and he knows that you're never going to hold him accountable? It's not going to affect his credibility. How low does he have to view us?
Exactly. He's doing the exact same thing. He's accusing the folks who wrote the Bible in an allegorical sense. You're too dumb to understand this, so let me give you a story let me give it to you in a way that you'll understand. That's essentially what he's trying to do. I'm gonna give you my interpretation of it, and you should just believe me because that's what I said.
All right, comments. What he means by canvas? Anybody want to tackle that?
Yeah, I'm assuming he just means canvas in the sense of a blank, a blank space to put whatever your thought creates on it as God. I don't think he meant canvas in a in a literal sense, but canvas in the sense of God is what you create, what you think he is.
Which is very insulting and blasphemous. But not only that, it's really ill-informed philosophically. I mean, whether you're a Christian, a theist, a deist, whatever it is, all intellectuals, especially all intellectuals, especially within the kinds of philosophy, know that if there's a God, God is the lotus of knowledge and information. He's not a blank canvas. He is the bedrock. He is the foundation. He is that which everything else is based off of. He is the primary. He's the prime mover. He's the first mover. That being the case, to say he's a blank canvas, that's such a sophomoric. Really, I would say just a very low level, low hanging fruit type of assertion.
Now the comments, they definitely skimming through the Bible. Yeah. I couldn't agree with that. Or he could be reading the Bible and not actually being challenged and debating these ideas, the stuff he's accusing the Bible of doing, or the interpretations. His interpretation, he's not really sitting down with somebody that's well trained and have a great understanding of the gospel.
Their interpretation of what the words were saying, looking for God and doing the work of Satan.
Talib Kweli, 950 times actually Vulcan. Okay, it's my man doing his Googles. Okay. That's just Old Testament.
Do your Googles, people.
You said over 1,000 times, man. Get your stuff together, man.
It
You
was 10
making us look crazy out here, man.
Yeah.
But I think that's referring to the Old Testament alone. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said.
We worship Lucifer. This is some of the writings. Right. I'm going to make it evil. God damn it. The light is knowledge. And then I'm going to create propaganda around it. Yes, we worship the light. We worship Lucifer. This is some of the writings. Right. Right. This is who's my man who started the cake? Pike, Albert Pike.
Mm-hmm.
This is Blavatsky. This is Crowley. But none of these motherfuckers are original. Where did you get your knowledge? Let's start at where you got it. And if it comes back to any indigenous people, you stole it and then gave it back to them in a watered down, westernized form and said, this is the version we approve of while we practice the
real shit in the back. Don't come to
I just want to know what's his evidence for a lot of the claims he's making.
this back room.
No, exactly.
Don't come to this back room, nigga.
The Rosicrucians. Come on,
Rose
man.
and the cross.
The rose and the cross.
Comments, y'all. We got
Time
comments.
travel and higher level learning and
Comments.
He's defining canvas.
Who wants to read? Go ahead. Go ahead, Fresh.
Canvas, a firm, closely woven cloth, usually of linen, hemp, or cotton, used for clothing, and formerly much used for tents and sails. This is your God.
This your
The
king?
cloth backed or framed as a surface for painting. This is your God, Zoe.
Oh man, hilarious.
Yeah.
Shout out to Help the Bear.
This your king.
Is this your king?
Shout out to Help the Bear.
Hey, auntie.
People have to define. People have to remove the constraints of Christianity because it doesn't. They don't want to be held accountable. You already have free will. We all have free will, but there's a law and there's a set of standards and restrictions set up for. And if it doesn't suit people, if it's too rigorous for them, they want to change the definition and how you perceive it because it allows them to do whatever they want. And I want to point that out.
It's called deception.
Exactly. This is common for any law. It's not just something that people do with Christianity, right? You see it being done with the law. You see it being done with the Constitution. Even with laws that are already written, you have judges who are appointed to be the interpreters, the best, the most skilled, or the most revered interpreters of the law. But you also see attorneys twist and turn that law to what suits them and their client, and oftentimes that works. So to that point, the law is the law. It says what it says, but if it doesn't work for you, you have people like Zoe Williams who will twist it and turn it so it fits what they want to do. And then so they don't have to be held accountable or they don't have to be ostracized for doing that. They essentially, it leads to them creating a whole new belief system. I don't believe it. I don't believe in it in the way it is. I just believe in a little bit over here and a little bit over here because this suits what I want to do.
metaphysics to ourselves.
They give up Egypt. They give up the motherfucking gateway to the Middle East. All of that, nigga. Egypt is still sitting on the African plate.
Yes.
So is Israel.
Yeah, there is no Middle East. There's no such thing as the fucking Middle East.
Do you get it?
That's a fucking play on words to make motherfuckers just to put you in a place. If you look at the goddamn map, ain't no Middle East. Take the fucking lines off the shit.
And so then you got motherfuckers running around like David Icke.
Yeah, Icky.
I don't get that. It's like they playing on words when they say that. Like, it's no such thing as the Middle East. You got Far East, you got the Middle East. You got, even in America, you got West Coast and you got Midwest.
Yeah,
that's like saying
where you were at.
That's like
People in the Middle East don't call it the Middle East.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. That's like saying there's no Texas. Took the lines away.
Yeah,
all that land connect. Well, yeah, we know that, man. Relax.
What are you talking about, man?
It's called defining it. Yeah, all of it is one thing, but you have to define it so you can communicate it
Yeah.
to other people. I was over there. Well, where over there? I mean, in the middle,
Yeah.
nigga, in the Middle East.
Just like we do, like, you know, I got, you know, if you got a cubicle, all the cubicles connect, but we still try to, you know, partition and separate and compartmentalize different sections. It helps us organize things.
Yeah, this is the perfect example where you just seek knowledge and knowledge puffs up. That's what the Bible says when you just talking just to be talking at times, man. But yeah,
That's what he's been doing this whole time. That's why he's jumping back and forth. He hasn't, to be honest with you, he hasn't strung together a singular thought pattern yet. He just pops back and forth through different things.
and that's the purpose of the show. You have to any argument. This is what we say in the beginning of the show. To reiterate, this show is about deciphering what's good arguments versus bad arguments. You start off with your premise, you give your reasons, and then you end it with a conclusion. And it's all over the place. Now we know. I guess we know the premise. They just, like I said earlier, they just dislike Christianity. They don't believe in it. But they're not giving a lot of good reasons why not to believe in it. Start off with that.
And I wish they would like you do an expose on all these different Black African spiritualities, because they, you know, it's not as fluffy and warm and kind and inviting as y'all think it is. These people were doing some crazy stuff.
Let me read the comments. A piece of the cloth-backed frame that's the surface for a painting. This is your. Oh, I think we said
that.
Okay, is that the last one? If I take your color away, we all white. Definitely. All right.
Beat you to the white meat.
Bernie Mac.
He's just to point out, he hasn't given a why yet. One thing that I noticed that Zoe does is he attacks the concepts of a belief system with the concepts of a belief system. He never says why those concepts are inaccurate. He just argues that Christianity is wrong because
his interpretation of what he read.
Yeah.
It's like a parent.
It tells you what to do.
It's like a parent. Because that's so.
Christianity is wrong because it tells you to believe in one person that you can't see. Why is it wrong to believe that? He's yet to say that. Why is it wrong to believe in have a monotheistic belief? And I'm being very broad right now because he's done it with several different examples. But my point is, he says these are wrong because of the belief system, but he doesn't say why that belief system is wrong. He does this constantly. Even in the last video, he attacks the religion with tenets of the religion, and he just says they're wrong. He never says the why.
Facts.
The reptilians are here and devouring and eating
the
people.
reptilians are here.
And hold on, Pam. Hold on. This is how Black people were able to call themselves dragons.
Yes.
Over that same.
Okay, let's just deal with two. Let's just deal with two, my nigga. Two ancient civilizations. Dogon, the Dogons.
Reptilians coming.
Patolo,
Yep.
following the star. Patolo, that you niggas labeled the dog star.
Right.
Sirius. E and motherfucking C.
Right.
And B and C can't be seen with the naked eye.
They just found C.
And these motherfuckers is mapping out the movements of these stars.
Right.
Well, how did you do that? Oh, well, some reptilians came down
and handed out some shit.
and they were called the Nomos. And we had sex with them. NASA has been to fuck with these people.
Right.
All types of scientists have been to.
Not only did
Are
they
we
say
talking
that,
about
they made little figurines showing what happened, the depictions of them coming down and handing over books. Like you'll see the figurines and all this shit of them handing over scrolls and knowledge and shit. This is what the Dogons made. Like, look, nigga, this is what they look like.
So are we discussing the Anunnaki right now when you say
We could discuss all of that shit. So again, that's the Dogon.
Mhm.
We have had sex with aliens, reptilians.
Right.
Okay, cool. We're just gonna leave that right there. We fucked with aliens, reptilians. Okay, cool. Then he goes,
we done some
this African Sanusi, Credu Mutwa. You know that the black guy,
right.
400-pound necklace on,
I do.
and he telling them, no. The ancient Egyptian society started in South Africa, north, from what we call south, from south
rise anyway, from the low to the high.
Again, this is how we started. These motherfuckers, you go on YouTube right now. There's a documentary called The Black Pharaohs. The Black Pharaoh.
The Black Pharaohs.
And guess what they're fucking reinforcing?
What?
That below this level, this is where the black niggas was.
What? No niggas above this?
So they're talking about Shabbat. In Sudan. But nigga.
Real quick, can anyone tell me what
Throughout
he's
the year, like, they
what
had all these different
what
celebrations.
the what relevance, what he's explaining, what relevance it has? What point is he trying to make?
In some way, I think he's saying, I don't like the Bible.
But no, well,
I don't care what he
what
said.
point did he say he was trying to
says,
make?
I go to
I
the
should
bathroom.
clarify.
I go to the bathroom. I'm thinking in some way, in his mind, he means this. I don't like the Bible.
I understand that's an interpretation, and I should clarify what I was actually asking. Did anyone hear him before he started this rant? Did anyone hear him explain what point he was making with this explanation? What is the relevance to the conversation? And I point that out because he does this a lot. He just goes on like random rants.
I'm nice with it.
I suppose. I just want to point that out to the audience, to the folks out there. I'm not calling them folks. I just want y'all to know that. Is again, he's not stringing together any thoughts. He's not saying anything. And I mean, just because you don't understand that he said, don't mean that he's nice. Don't mean that he's deep, man. Like
he's the epitome. Zoe is the epitome of that, man.
He is. And the point of that bar was he just saying a bunch of random stuff just because you don't understand it, just because it sounds nice doesn't mean that it actually means anything.
Best rapper when he said Jay-Z, Jigga Big used to be Nas, now he on some stuff like that. The moon and the stars. But yeah,
Hey.
so comments or a person who says they feel, or a person who says I feel before making a statement.
Oh yes.
But is it logical?
Help the bear talk your shit.
You got pizza sauce on your beer, Vulcan. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for helping us keep that image well groomed there. He said he ain't land on the plan. What he said?
He's talking about what I asked Zoe Williams what point he's trying to prove. He's right, he ain't land that plane yet, but I wanted to point it out because he's not going to.
Yeah.
He's gonna pop over to the next thing.
Yeah, so man. Yeah, that's the end of the video. It started, I guess, in the middle of that conversation, so we wasn't able to really. Well, we actually did some reaction videos with him in the past. He's not really clear with his intentions at times, so I don't know if it would have mattered if we caught the beginning of the conversation. But I'm gonna start off, letting you know this is Enos. Thank you for tuning in. This was another episode of the Vulcan Soapbox, and I'm gonna just pass it around to Fresh and end it with Vulcan.
Well, of course. I don't have much, man. I think I pretty much said my piece. Like we said, man, you examine what people are saying, and I say that about everyone. So run everything that you hear, especially if it's something that you're gonna believe, something that you're going to structure your life or your belief system on. Run it through a logic and reasoning filter. Make sure it makes sense all the way through, because a lot of this stuff is surface level sound good, and when you start to dissect it, it falls apart quickly. When you run into people like us, we're gonna pick that stuff apart, man. So
I just want to add what you said. The reason it sounds good, especially for African Americans or those some will say we're just native to this land or whatever. However you want to look at FBA, Aldos, whatever you want to.
FBA is foundational Black American for you guys.
Yeah, whoever y'all want to affiliate with, we all, us try to reunite or relate with each other because of our melanin. Try to be conscious of that. That's an implicit bias. When you listen to guys that's constantly regurgitating that, just try to keep in mind, just try to focus on the things that they are saying so you won't be misled. It can happen to all of us, Just be conscious of that when you listen to a lot of guys that's trying to make philosophical arguments.
And hopefully some of the points that we've made on this show, or while we're critiquing this show, some of the questions that we've asked, hopefully if you run into somebody who shares these types of beliefs, or people who would attack your religion or Christianity, hopefully we've given you a few tools to dissect that stuff. And I notice I purposely didn't use disprove or anything like that. Just dissect, break it up. Let me see. Do you know what you're talking about? What are these are some of the questions that we've offered you guys that will help you wade through some of the surface level shenanigans that these guys are offering. FBA, NBA, NWA, whatever side you claim.
All right, Vulcan.
Everybody, we appreciate you tuning into the show and supporting what we have going on. We do this for y'all. We do this because we see charlatans online that espouse all kind of different beliefs that don't line up to the information. But even when they line up to the information, they don't line up to sound reasoning. Make that distinction in your mind. It's a little bit of a difficulty for a lot of people. In my experience, is making the distinction between y'all hearing us say, do your research versus learning how to think critically. Those are two different things. Now you got to research on how to, think critically. But once you learn how to think critically, you'll know how to do better research. So figure that out. But the thing is, so y'all got to keep that in mind. Like, subscribe, share. If you have videos you want us to cover, you have people you want us to focus on, feel free to share that. You want to be a guest on the show, let us know. It's all about learning and growing together, and all of us to be able to look through all the different harvests and take the wheat, out without getting the tares. Thanks for tuning in. Vulcan Soapbox.
Chill.